I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two Mikes right here on Talk Sport. It's a massive weekend of Premier League football, but it's all going a bit wrong for Merseyside. Everton find themselves in relegation territory, while Jurgen Klopp is giving Liverpool fans plenty of cause for concern. Tomorrow they've both got must-win games, and we'll be finding out who's got more chance of actually winning them. And we want to hear from you, of course, as well. 08717 223344. It's all gone a little bit wrong. We want to find out why. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll be talking to Mark Donaldson, live from Scotland, ahead of the Old Firm derby. Plus, we've got the Porky quiz on Sheffield ahead of the Steel City derby, and I'm going to try and chalk up a victory in winners and losers, where the voting is up to you. Also, we'll bring you a few tales from New York that you might not have heard yet as well. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes, and it's time to say a very, very good evening to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good evening to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, very good evening to you, Mike, as well. You're absolutely right about the importance, the very, very great importance of Everton's game tomorrow, which, of course, is my team. Indeed. And I would vouch to say also that Liverpool fans will be equally concerned.
Yes.
People making all sorts of predictions that, well, the best Liverpool will do against Leicester is a draw.
Yeah.
This is a team that knocked them out of the League Cup during the week.
They are away from home after all as well.
Yep.
I mean, things are not as bad for Liverpool as they are for Everton, because you and I both watched the Everton game last weekend while we were still in New York City.
Yeah.
And they got absolutely hammered by Manchester United. Unfortunately,
painful.
Didn't make you feel like a very happy bunny.
No.
But Ronald Koeman is under more pressure, I think, even than Jurgen Klopp. Because Klopp
definitely
has said himself, things are not as bad as we're being told they are. They've got 8 points. But Koeman is down third from bottom. In fact, Bournemouth, only one of two teams below him.
By a dramatic irony, in seasons past, we've always felt that an allowance had to be given to Everton because we didn't have the resources of Liverpool, and that Liverpool, with their formidable record of being the champions of Europe 5 times, always had a much higher expectation factor from their fans in recent years than Everton did.
Yes.
It's a long time since Everton really took on the calibre of a consistently winning club.
That's true, but you did have high hopes at the beginning of the season.
I did, very high hopes,
for the first time, I think, since I've known you, and certainly in most recent years, you were expecting Everton to be at least trying to knock on the door of the top 4.
Well, of course I was, and I thought that would happen. And the fact that we started the season without an established striker just made me think Mr. Koeman's even brighter and better than I thought he was, because he clearly doesn't see this as a gap in our defences, i.e. attacking defences, if you see what I mean.
Attacking
you know what I mean?
Defences, no.
Because, well, you know that defence starts with attack and attack starts with defence. You know that, don't you?
Not necessarily,
Any good coach will tell you that.
No, I know that sometimes attack is the best form of defence.
Yes, that's right.
But I wouldn't say that you've mixed up the metaphors there in a particularly understandable way.
No, I haven't. But look, what I would say is, I want to call out to those Everton fans. Am I being unkind here and unfair? Because, as our colleagues in the show that has just finished, including Mr. Simon Jordan, who I thought made some extremely salient points about the way the game's going.
Yes. You mean Jason Cundy?
Sorry?
You mean Jason Cundy as well?
I think I mentioned Simon Jordan, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but the show before us also had Jason Cundy in it.
Well, it had 3 presenters, and I'm just pointing out what one of them said, and one of them said and agreed with me that actually it didn't matter that the first 5 games Everton had were all against established teams. Stoke the opening day, won that 1-0, and the next 4 against really established teams. Crikey, a draw against City and 3 defeats.
The draw against City is beginning to look like the best result they had. To be honest.
It certainly is. But what I'm saying is you've got to play those teams at some stage during the season anyway.
Yeah.
So as far as I was concerned, it was a fantastic test of Everton getting their act together to face 4 such good teams in the first 5 games. And we failed the test. I'd
have to tell you, not only did you fail the test, but from the Manchester City game to the Manchester United game, I would suggest this to you, that Everton have actually got worse. Under Ronald Koeman this season, they were better against City than they were against Man United last weekend.
I think they were a better team last season, towards the end of last season, than they are at the start of this season. Well, when I saw the opening game against Stoke, I did think to myself, because my seat is down one end where we were defending in the first half, and all I could see were defenders pushing the ball around to each other and up to midfield players and then back again. And I thought to myself, this plan is obviously going to unfold. And then Rooney scored the one goal, the header, which rescued the game in 3 points. And that's about as good as it's got this season. And so I want to talk to the Everton fans out there. I hope you don't think I'm being too harsh, because I'm very, very reluctant to criticise Everton. But to be honest, I think it's only fair that you should at the moment, because we now have huge aspirations to break into at least the top 6 and maybe the top 4.
Well, first you better break out the top bottom 3.
Well, we have. You're absolutely right. When I look at the league table and I see that Newcastle United are in 4th place, and Newcastle United's fans moaned all summer, we haven't spent any money, we don't know if Rafa's even going to stay, we're, once again, we're an unstable outfit because nobody knows what's going on. And they've got to 4th place already in the Premier League, and we are in the bottom 3.
Yes.
So, Everton fans, 08717 22 33 44. Liverpool fans, right? Now, I don't want to upset or offend, but a few weeks ago we talked about the beef, the golfer. And
a few weeks ago that was, yes.
Yes, and I said he has a very, very bubbly demeanour, you know, and does
well,
that...
you called him a clown, actually. That's
well, no, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. Let's get this absolutely right.
No, you did. That's exactly what you called him.
No, I said, does the clownish behaviour sometimes mask, what perhaps is a great talent or not?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that Mr. Jurgen Klopp is a very bubbly and outgoing... No, I'm not calling him a clown at all. Bubbly, outgoing, communicative sort of guy. Yeah. Maybe some Liverpool fans would prefer somebody who's a bit more dour and maybe introverted, who looks...
Do you know what? I think you're wrong about Klopp, because actually Klopp, I think one of the reasons that Klopp is such a great manager is that he does exude an awful lot of exuberance. He is a guy who...
He exudes exuberance,
is that right?
Exuberance, yes. Yeah, he's an exuberance exuder.
Yeah, is that a problem for you?
No, not at all. No,
I think it's rather nice. Alliteration is always good.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, this is a guy who has a great way with the fans, a tremendous way with the players. You can see them bonding with him on the touchline sometimes, hugging him and all that. He seems to be a man who engenders loyalty from players. He seems to be a guy that people enjoy playing for. And he's a great character to have in the Premier League. I would much rather have Jurgen Klopp as manager than Ronald Koeman, Mr. Doer, Mr. Predictable, Mr. Disciplinarian, the man who's always telling us how, hard he works on making the players behave well off the pitch.
Yes.
Well, that's going well, isn't it?
Yeah, but Liverpool fans would prefer to have a rather more complicated character who does not expose his inner feelings to the world, like Jose Mourinho at their club at the moment. Well, ask any Liverpool fan.
No, I don't think so.
Any Liverpool fan would rather have Jose
Klopp.
Mourinho. They might love Klopp, but Jose Mourinho guarantees success. He's the most successful living, working manager, and he guarantees success.
He has done so far. We shall see whether his successful run at Manchester United continues. He's done brilliantly.
He's on the up again, isn't he?
Well, he's done brilliantly to get
got his mojo back.
Well, you said that. As soon as you said he got his mojo back, they got a draw with Stoke.
Well, they're still top of the table. Still joint top of the table.
Well, Manchester City are top of the table.
Only on the fact that
they keep knocking about 6 goals in every time they play.
The alphabetical letters in their title just slightly exceed or rise
above.
So you're
saying Manchester City are only there due to alphabetical situations?
Well, that's the fact. Okay. That's a fact of the table.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Nothing to do with the way that they're playing. Anyway, we'll get back to Manchester soon, because first we're talking about Liverpool. We want to hear from you. 08717 22 33 44. I don't think that there are many Liverpool fans out there that are losing faith in Klopp. We're hearing from some of them on TalkSport.
No, but it's a testing season.
Sometimes that's because you hear more from the squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
The people that are more upset because they're not in the top 4 right now. They're only 8th.
But it's a critical and crucial season for Liverpool. It's a critical and crucial game for them tomorrow, I have to say.
They've got Champions League football coming up as well.
Of course they have.
So does that mean
football next week?
Does that mean, for example, they're going to play Spartak Moscow? Does that mean that against Leicester, Jurgen Klopp is going to have to pick his team more carefully? Because don't forget, it's a late kickoff as well.
Yes.
So he doesn't have a lot of time between the late kickoff 5:30 tomorrow and Tuesday's Champions League game.
Yeah, I always preferred Bobby Robson's view of life. Bobby Robson's view of life was, he said, I don't really understand the rotation system. I try to put up my best 11 players for every game I play.
Yeah.
And if the games come thick and fast, then that's a tribute to the fact that you're actually winning games.
But there are a lot more games now, aren't there? And I mean, we have this argument quite a lot.
There are a lot more games.
There are quite a lot more games.
I don't think so.
Well, we've already had the Carabao Cup this week, right?
Yeah. Well, Newcastle played in the Carabao Cup under Bobby Robson.
Yeah.
And so did Ipswich.
Yeah.
when Alan Brazil played for them and Bobby Robson.
Say, for example,
was
but they wouldn't be playing in a very long European season as well as that, would they?
Well, they did. They won the UEFA Cup.
Yeah, but the UEFA Cup was a knockout competition. It wasn't a league competition which started in July and went all the way through until the following May.
I think Liverpool played 66 games the last time they won the First Division title, so that's quite a lot of games.
That is a lot of games, but it's nice. I think the argument is that the game is changed. The game is played at a much higher pace. It's a much more physical game now in terms of.
But the players are more physically fit.
Well, yes, they are. But clearly, they use. Most of these clubs use a rotation system. You can harken back to what Bobby Robson liked, rather, if you want to. But it's a very different time. It's like saying you'd rather be driving around a Morris Minor than a Jaguar from this year, because there's no comparison.
Paul's car is a Jaguar.
08717 22 3344. We're going to take your calls. We are going to talk to Beaky as well. He's the man in the know up there on Merseyside. He'll tell us exactly who's more likely to win the must-win games. Will it be Liverpool against Leicester? Will it be Everton against Bournemouth? And what is wrong with Ronald Koeman? This is Talk Sport.
It sounds like we have 0 points, and we are the worst team in the league. So that's a little bit like we talk. That's it. Yes, we have obviously problems. That's why we only have 8 points and not 15. That's the situation. So, but it's we can make it more serious than it is, or we can take it like it is.
I don't care. I know they have the most easiest job in the world to analyze, to make columns, but I know what we are. I know and I like the way to be successful, and it's crazy. It's ridiculous to put a lot of pressure to the team by saying we need to finish by the top 4 teams, but that's in my opinion ridiculous.
Ridiculous. It's crazy.
Well, you see,
we don't care what anybody thinks.
Well, we don't care. Well, I think you should care because actually,
the fans are paying good money to expect something from their team.
What you read in newspapers is a reflection of the way fans are thinking. That's why they buy newspapers, to find out what the current debate is.
Yes.
And secondly, to say I'm a good manager, or I know what I'm doing. Well, at the moment, we're trying to find out why it's not working.
The results might suggest otherwise.
Well, the results suggest that it's been a very challenging first 5 games, and we have so far failed the test.
Indeed.
I'm sorry I have to say that, but that is true.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to play these teams that are in the top 4, home and away, throughout the season. I thought it was a really, really great challenge to kick off with 4 of them and see what we got out of it. And unfortunately, we've ended up in the relegation zone.
I don't care.
Right. So that hasn't worked out totally well. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to take loads of your calls, of course. We've got loads coming in. 08717 22 33 44. We're going to talk to Beaky as well, who's up there, of course, on the Wirral. Yeah. Let me just read you this from Lady Laura. Please, could you give a shout-out to Rob, who's stuck on the A1, coming home from a wedding. You are keeping him sane out there.
Right. Why is he stuck on the A1?
Well, he's coming back from a wedding. I just explained it to you.
Yeah, but has he got a puncture or something? Is it traffic?
Well, maybe there's traffic. I don't know. What do you want, his life story? He's stuck on the A1.
Yeah, all right. Well,
just give him a shout-out.
Not a good place.
Rob, get home soon, otherwise, you never know what might happen.
Rob, get home soon, mate, and, if there's anywhere it's not very pleasant to be stuck, it is the A1, I have to say.
Well, you don't know that.
It's not a motorway, is it? It's
an A road.
Yeah, exactly. A
Dual
lesser
carriageway.
graded road, dual carriageway. Yeah. Whoa, what a place to be stuck. You don't even get a hard shoulder on the A1.
You don't get a cold shoulder.
No.
Let's talk to Graham Beecroft, who's up there, our man on Merseyside. Mr. Beecroft, how are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
Hello, Mike
you're not stuck on the A1 or anything nasty.
No, I'm stuck in my study listening to you chaps.
Splendid.
Enjoying it very much.
Splendid.
Yeah, well
now, the tale of 2 managers and 1 city here, really, isn't it?
Certainly
For me,
is.
I don't think Klopp is in as much trouble as Koeman. I want to know what you think, because I believe that Koeman has yet to prove himself. He came out the transfer window supposedly with some fantastic deals had been done and some of the best business had been done, and yet it's not gelling.
No, you're absolutely right. I think you can look at both clubs' transfer window and their transfer policy, if you like, and say that it has been flawed. Everton signings, well, they got quite a few in early. Everybody was boosted, and quite rightly, by the signing of Wayne Rooney. But subsequently, we've seen that 1 or 2 of those players, more than 1 or 2 perhaps, are not up to Premier League level right at this moment. Now, whether they will be or not, obviously depends to a certain extent on the manager. But it also, does put a question mark against the recruiting system. In other words, is it good enough? And I would say that the same applies to Liverpool as well. They had this situation with Virgil van Dijk. It seemed to be clear from quite a way out that if Van Dijk was going to sign, it would be at the very last minute. And if they didn't get him at the very last minute, then there was going to be a massive hole in the defence in the way that there has been over the last few years. And quite frankly, I think the transfer system stroke policy at Liverpool has been very much wanting ever since FSG have taken over. We had the transfer committee, etc., etc. It still isn't right. They're still not getting the calibre of players that should be coming into Liverpool Football Club. And one of the things that they do, it's this Moneyball situation. They want to sign basically young players. We're talking about 23, 24-year-olds, 26 maximum and below. Now, do you always get leaders within that particular pack? And I think that one of Liverpool's problems, and by no means the only one, is that they haven't got a genuine leader in the side.
And is that policy designed to buy at one price and sell at another and make sure they don't make a loss?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's be honest about it. That's what FSG are in football for.
Yeah, exactly.
To make sure that they make a profit for the company. It's as plain and simple as that. They make a bigger profit, and the selling cost of the football club increases, of course, if the football club is successful. And they would argue, that is what they're aiming for. But it's taking an awful long time, and I think that, quite frankly, quite a few Liverpool supporters are a little bit tired right now of hearing all about Liverpool's fantastic history, but not about making history right at this moment.
Well, we all know how that feels as well. Now, on the other side of Stanley Park, of course, you got Mr. Koeman, and he does have a touch of arrogance about him, saying, I don't care, I don't care what people are saying, and I'm a very good manager. Well,
that's three different voices.
Yeah, all right. Well, that was at various times of the day that he said those things, various levels of tiredness. But no, I mean, the point is, you said that Liverpool fans, their patience will run out. I think the patience is running out a little bit with Everton fans already.
Listen, the patience has run out at Everton, quite a long time ago, Mike. You're quite right. The last trophy they won was the FA Cup in 1995. Now, that's obviously, 12 years ago. They want success.
Actually, a bit longer than that, Beaky, I'm afraid. It's about 22 years ago.
This season was going to be different. But right now, it doesn't look as though it's going to be different. It has to be said, they've had a pretty tough bunch of matches early on to play, and that they could very easily come good later on in the season, and indeed in the transfer window, if they make a couple of signings, that could be improved. But right at this moment, if you're looking at the side, the best player that they've got was a young lad that was signed. Apart from Rooney, I think has done well.
Yeah.
Keane has done well at the back. The goalkeeper has done okay. Apart from that, we're still looking for a superstar to come through, and I don't see one there. But young Calvert-Lewin has done extremely well. Now,
brilliant.
Whether he gets a chance this Saturday or not, I'm not sure.
He must do.
Well, you would think
he must
so.
Do.
You would think so, but that remains to be seen. And I think these sort of decisions. The thing about a football manager is, if your side is winning at home, then by and large you're okay. And Liverpool have been winning at home. If you're not winning at home, that's when the problems start, and that's when the frustrations begin. And Everton haven't always won at home this season so far, but they've had tough games, and they've got some games coming up which they would hope to take maximum points from, starting, of course, this weekend against Bournemouth.
That's right.
But the trouble as well, Beaky, as you say, when problems start mounting up and psychological kind of barriers can suddenly appear, Liverpool have got Champions League football on Tuesday night, Spartak Moscow. It's an away game. That may affect Klopp's selection process for the Leicester game tomorrow. You've then got Everton, under pressure in the Premier League, having to put together a team to play in the Europa League on a Thursday night, sometimes in far-flung places. That may be a problem.
It is a problem, no question about it, and every manager and every club that's played in the competition has found it a difficulty. But I think you've got to be realistic as well. If you look at Liverpool the other night against Leicester City, they had John Flanagan playing at right back. Now, with the best will in the world, John will make a good championship player. There's no question about that. With the best will in the world, he's not going to make a top player at Premiership level. He's the fourth-in-line fullback, right back at Liverpool. Yet he played the other night. Why is Flanagan playing at right back when it's really been decided that he isn't going to be good enough? Why aren't the others given an opportunity there? Well, it turns out that there was a difficulty with the centre half. with Dejan Lovren. But there's been that kind of difficulty ongoing, and Liverpool still haven't solved that problem. The other thing that, Klopp is coming under question about is his playing of Moreno at left-back. Now, again, a player who is never going to be good enough to play left-back at the top level, never mind at the top level for Liverpool Football Club. Yet Moreno has been chosen this season as the first-choice left-back and has given away goals in the same manner that he always has done. And Klopp doesn't seem to be able to do anything about that. So that's where the manager is under pressure. I think with Koeman, like Klopp, he's highly believable. He says what he sees. The fans understand that, etc., etc. And I think both of them have got quite a bit of slack to come. There's no question about that. And as I say, what we'll do, both managers are power of good, is a little run of wins to get them on the road and moving.
Yeah, sooner the better.
We shall see. Staggering stuff. Graham, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Beaky up
Beaky.
there on the Wirral, of course, one of Porky's old hunting grounds. We'll talk a bit more about that. And another one of your hunting grounds, Gosport, which apparently the people have described who live there as such a horrible, ghastly place that they want it razed to the ground.
You see, you misrepresent things
they want
all the
it razed
time.
to the ground.
No, they don't.
Yes, that's the quote.
One woman was asked in a survey about the waterfront, which is spectacular.
I've been telling you what was told, don't worry.
Yeah, it's spectacular. No, I know exactly what was told. It's a spectacular waterfront.
It's not.
And that's where I live.
No, it isn't.
And they've just developed a second
Simon Jordan threw laughing
there.
stock for claiming to live in a penthouse, even though it's not at the top of the building.
Well, I keep telling you, your idiocy.
Yeah, you didn't call him an idiot, did you?
No,
you didn't call Simon an idiot,
No,
did
but
you?
you've been there and he hasn't, so you know where it is.
I know it's not a penthouse.
It's a multi-level building.
No, no.
Now, you don't own any property,
No, that's right.
I think you
I
get
used to own a
of
flat in
people
New
who
York,
do.
but then you abandoned it and I lost it, unfortunately.
Well,
but there we are.
I
Less
don't
said
know how
about
many
that, the
times
better.
you're going to tell this boring story, which is completely untrue.
Yeah, well, it is a very true story, and
to
you know it is.
To shore up your own inadequacies in life.
Now, how about this from somebody called Sasha? Please, can you give a big hello to Mark Walden from Bristol? He's a huge fan of yours.
What's his name, Mark?
His name's Mark.
Mark Waldron, thank you very much indeed.
Walden.
Yeah. Walden, OK. Thanks for being a big fan of ours, Mark. We will try to keep up our standards. I will try to keep them up anyway.
Yeah, it's from Bristol, your
from
favourite
Bristol.
city.
Who are you?
This is Talk Sport.
I don't care.
Talk Sport, we are the two mics. We're here, of course, until 1 o'clock. We're here tomorrow as well from 11 with the warm-up and with loads and loads of football we're going to tell you about coming up. A couple of tweets for you. Matthias says this: I'm a Liverpool fan. Klopp over Jose any day. Why? Klopp guarantees emotion and enthusiasm, i.e. that's what it's all about. And he's saying he would rather have that. And Jay Ray says, I love Klopp. I know he's not perfect, but he is ours.
And Gerard Gallagher says, if it's any consolation, Porky, MG usually talks more nonsense than you, but only in alphabetical order.
Oh, right.
So I'm not quite sure if that's a compliment or not.
No, I don't know. It's difficult to say. Now, we've been asking for your calls. Let's go to them now. 08717 2233 44. Tim is a Liverpool fan. Let's find out what he thinks of Monsieur Klopp. Tim, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, guys.
Yeah, hi, Tim.
I wanted to back Jurgen Klopp. I think he's great. I hear his statistics comparing him to Brendan Rodgers. And I'm looking at it from on a long-term view. Although his stats might be slightly behind Brendan Rodgers, it's not dependent on Suarez or Sturridge scoring all the goals. The team is more stable now in terms of how we can score goals. Absolutely agree in terms of the defense. When we got the money for Suarez, Rodgers went scattergun and bought average players, absolutely average players.
Was that his fault? Because he was always saying, was he not afterwards, that he kind of like, for example, Mario Balotelli was never his idea. He gave the impression, Rodgers, that he was kind of told who to buy.
Well, Mario Balotelli, I don't know, but ultimately there was a lot of players that were bought that season for the money that we got for Suarez, whereas Jurgen Klopp's gone, I'm not buying anybody other than Van Dijk. I'm not buying anybody than Keita. I'm going to wait until I get the player that's actually going to improve the team.
Yeah, is there anything wrong with that? Is there anything necessarily wrong with that? I mean, if he thinks that the only person who can fill that plug that gap in his defence, which is leaky, is Van Dijk, then should he be praised for saying, well, he's going to wait another 4 months and try and get the right player instead of buying a substitute who might not work?
Good point. But Jurgen is looking at it at the long-term view, right? I would rather wait and get the right players rather than depend on just this season. I would rather wait for the long-term view, get the right players to make the team. That I get a Van Dijk that will be able to play from the back, push forward, get a Keita from Leipzig, be able to run around like a Kante at Chelsea, and be able to do all those things rather than rush around and buy the average players. So that's why I would stick with Rodgers. And then everybody talks about Moreno. Moreno is a liability defending. But going forward,
who else have you got, though?
Well, the whole defence is a liability.
Yeah,
I mean, so that's the problem.
It is. That's the point. Do
you know, when I went to watch Hoffenheim against Liverpool at Anfield, I called Lovren. We called him Dodgy Dejan.
Dodgy Dejan. That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
Very accurate.
Yeah.
My son's 12 years old. We were laughing on the way back. We made a round trip from London.
What was your son saying? Oh, dodgy. Ha, ha, ha. Dodgy. Yeah, I can understand that. It's rather cruel.
But everybody then goes, oh, Sakho's our best defender. He was our best defender. But then the argument to that was when Sakho had the ball, other than on his left foot, he looked so uncomfortable, it was untrue.
Okay.
And for that reason, I would stick with Jurgen for sure. But then I also looked at Benitez's team. Okay. Even when we're winning with Torres and Gerrard, it was efficiency rather than entertaining.
Yeah.
Absolutely efficient.
Yeah.
Where Gerrard, Torres, I remember the game at Newcastle, absolutely devastating. Gerrard playing the number 10 position.
Yeah. Well,
devastating.
Okay. Well, Tim, listen, thanks for your observations, mate. I think we're both in the same boat here, both looking for a great result tomorrow to kickstart our season.
I've got some more bad news for you, by the way, Paul.
Yeah, go on.
Because this very evening, the Liverpool under-18s team, which is run by Steven Gerrard, I believe, actually beat the Everton under-18s team by 3-1.
Okay.
And also the Everton ladies were playing as well. They were playing Liverpool ladies, and they lost 2-0.
Okay,
so I'm afraid
yes.
Everton are very much in the lower rungs of football.
Except that our under-21 team, of course, run by David Unsworth, are champions of that division.
Are they?
Yes, indeed.
What do you mean they won it last year?
I mean they're current champions.
Yeah, they won it last year.
Yes, current champions.
They lost 2-0, 3-1 to Liverpool tonight.
No, they didn't.
I'm just telling you.
No,
the under-18s.
No, I said the under-21s.
Oh, well, that's a different team.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's a different team.
Yeah, well, I'm just pointing out to you.
Are any of those players playing in the main team?
No, but you're trying to make out that all Everton teams are failing. I'm just pointing out that they're not. We have exceptional talent at Everton. Okay.
Well, where's the exceptional talent, and why is it not being used? And why, if you've got such a talented team, is it third from bottom?
No, I've just explained to you because I'm not talking about the first team. You're bringing up two.
Why are you spreading it all around?
Because you idiotically are trying to throw other Everton teams into the mix and say they're all failed. I've given you an Everton team within the mix.
I've just told you
which are champions.
Yeah, but these are two football matches that took place within the last couple of hours. That's the reason I'm telling you the score.
Yeah.
It's not some historical thing I'm telling you. It happens to be that tonight Liverpool played Everton in two different games. One was Liverpool ladies and the Everton ladies. The other one was the under-18s.
Absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry you're getting so upset.
No,
Graham says this. I was stuck on the A1M northbound for almost 6 hours today. I wish I was joking. There is a hard shoulder.
Yeah, well, there is on that bit because it's the A1M. But most of the A1 is a dual carriageway. And it has like roundabouts and things.
That's awful, isn't it?
And the only good thing about it is that it has hostelries that are actually on the road, if you see what I mean.
You can't stop there if you're driving, can you?
You can have lunch, that's the point. Or if you get into a traffic jam. Sorry?
You can only have one lunch.
You can have 3 lunches as long as you don't drink any alcohol.
3 lunches? Wrong with that.
Yeah, if you wanted to. You know, what I'm saying is, if you're stuck 6 hours on a road, you'd be better off pulling into an English country inn, which happens to be on the side of the road, and have some lunch rather than sit in a traffic jam for 6 hours.
If you're in a traffic jam, you can't get off the road. That's the point.
Well, you can when a traffic jam inches forward to wherever the country inn is.
Yeah, I know, but when last time you were on one of these massive traffic jams, they don't move for hours on end. This guy was on it for 6 hours.
Yeah, but I'm smarter than the average bear, mate.
Really?
And I very rarely travel around on roads in this country during the day.
That's because
Only
you drive
mugs
around
do
at
that.
night like some kind of vampire.
Well, I do, because roads are empty at night. If I'm going to the coast or coming back, I make sure my journey is completed by 5:30 a.m.
Is that right?
Yes.
How about this from Paul? He says, I bet Porky misses the safety of New York now that he's back in the crime-ridden place that is Gosport.
That's a bit harsh, isn't
It is
it?
a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we got the Porky quiz coming up later on about Sheffield.
Yep.
Because we've got the Steel City Derby
Yes.
coming up. There'll be loads of questions about Sheffield, I presume. I haven't seen the questions yet, but I'm predicting 2 out of 10. This is TalkSport. TalkSport, we are the two mics, and that music, of course, can only mean one thing. It is time once again for winners and losers. Now, unbelievably, we're 4 weeks into the season, and you are winning, I believe, by a score of 3-1.
Absolutely.
Because it goes out to a public vote.
Yep.
And bizarrely, no matter how bad your sort of winners and losers nominations are, you run into a bit of sort of good luck, and you keep winning. And I suspect that that's because you've got more Twitter followers than I have.
No,
and so
nothing.
more of them, and more of the Porky tribe get their fingers on the old button. But we will be putting it out to a public vote.
I don't think it's that at all, mate.
Okay.
I think it's just that, I have the ability to spot these things, and I'm usually as spot on, if you get me.
Well, you get me.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, we're going to do losers first, so we do 3 of each. For those of you who don't know the game,
Yes.
we
do 2 of each, don't we?
No, 3. We do 2 heroes and villains.
Oh, right, 3, okay.
3 winners and losers, right?
Yes.
And then we put it out to the public vote, which you will find on Twitter, pinned to the top of the 2 Mics Twitter account.
That's right.
Would you like to go first with your first loser?
I will go with my first loser,
Go on,
okay?
then.
My first loser, I'm afraid, is Martin Glenn,
Yes.
who is the Chief Executive of the Football Association. Now, this is because when he gave that public interview and said that the Samson situation really should have been unveiled 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years ago, he was given a report about an earlier investigation into Mr. Sampson's behaviour, which was concluded that he had inappropriate relationships with the team the team he was managing then in Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that it was a summation of the original report
Yes.
that he read, so he didn't read the whole report.
He didn't read the whole report. Didn't get to the bottom of into the detailed print, which would have said that he's alleged to have had relationships, and therefore should have at least been further queried about it and further investigated about it. And that, to me, is such a hopeless failure of compliance to the job, and investigating the background of somebody who's coming to a very senior job.
Yes.
And particularly in such a sensitive situation where in women's football you have a male manager and the things happen vice versa, obviously. You've sometimes, you have female coaches, obviously, in football, that you have to make sure that everything's above board, and it clearly wasn't.
And to be honest, and I'm not making fun of you here, when you were at the FA, you used to have big rows with Graham Kelly and others about how they need to be more transparent.
I did.
Transparency seems to be particularly missing here.
Well, it's not that transparency is missing. I think that there's an efficiency factor missing here, and that is that they didn't know. They should have revealed that information because they didn't bother to research enough of the situation and with the appointment of Mr. Sampson to have found it out.
Yes.
Simple as that. So I'm afraid Martin Glenn goes down as my first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick with your theme, but I'm going to be slightly broader with my first loser, and I'm going to say it's the FA together, not just Martin Glenn. Martin Glenn is, of course, the head of the FA. Some people have said that his head should roll as a result of him being the guy at the top end of it. However, I think it's a massive failing all around the place because it's not just Martin Glenn's fault, because it would seem, and we're going to find out more as the weeks go on, and all of these characters are going to have to go and see the Committee for Culture, Media and Sport. Okay, but also what it would appear to be the case of is that there were certain people involved who were in the recruitment process way back when Glenn was kind of finding his feet, and he wouldn't necessarily have known exactly what was going on. But basically, you've already got people like Sir Trevor Brooking, his name being linked now. You've got Adrian Bevington's name, which is now being linked. You've also got Glenn being advised clearly very badly earlier on this week, where he told people that, the person who was told to interview those involved and to talk to people around the whole Mark Sampson story was hired because of the colour of her skin. She was, in fact, hired because she was black, even though the FA's technical director and the FA's lawyers had said this is absolute rubbish. We cannot say that that's true, and it's a nonsense. So the fact that they don't seem to be able to run any kind of organisation whatsoever tells me the FA is completely and utterly at fault all over the place. Shocking situation. situation.
Fine. Okay.
Second loser, please.
Second loser. My second loser is Timoni Bakayoko.
Oh, yes.
Now, he is the young Chelsea player who earlier this week, I think it was on Wednesday, it was on Wednesday, managed to crash his car when he came out of the Chelsea training ground in Cobham in Surrey, which is a very nice part of the world, doesn't have particularly busy roads.
No.
In fact, has narrow roads. But the reason he gave afterwards was the young lad is French, and he said, I still haven't got used to the idea of driving on the left.
Yeah.
And that's why he crashed his car. Now, it wasn't a
bit of a
serious...
worry, that.
Yeah, so fortunately it wasn't a serious crash, and he wasn't injured, or we don't think he was. And
I think he walked away from it, didn't he?
Yeah, he walked away from it. It looks like he'll be available for selection this weekend. And he damaged his 4x4 Mercedes. But, my piece of advice to him would be to go on some advanced driving course or something like that, learn how to drive on the left, because this is now where you live.
Well, exactly right. And also, when you see the crash, it's a very bizarre-looking crash.
Yeah.
Because those G-Class Mercedes are beginning...
Big vehicles.
Priced at around about 120 grand before you put any extras on them.
Yes,
His
that's
is
right.
probably about 150. And it's a very bizarre-looking picture.
Yes.
Where he's kind of, seems to have run it into the bushes.
Yes, that's right.
For no apparent reason.
Yes, that's
That's
right.
not a bad one, that, actually. My second loser is going to be Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, and I know people will say, why are you having to go at him? Because Jose Mourinho said he could do without the Carabao Cup as well.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, Jose Mourinho won it, didn't he?
Yes.
And now what we've got is Pep Guardiola, who hasn't won anything in this country.
No, that's right.
Basically telling us all that it's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort, waste of everybody's energy.
Yes.
He doesn't know why there is a Carabao Cup. Well, there's good reason why there's a Carabao Cup.
Yep.
It may be not a name that everybody's familiar with, but it's the League Cup. It's been in existence for an awfully long time.
That's right.
And basically, I don't think Pep Guardiola's got any business saying that we should get rid of football competitions in this country when he's only been here 5 minutes. He hasn't won anything.
Yeah,
I think it's very presumptuous, and I think it's a bit arrogant.
I think you could well be
so
right.
he's my second loser.
Okay, he's your second loser.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So what's your final one?
My final loser, believe it or not, is Diego Costa.
Is it?
Now, you might say, well, he got his way in the end, but I'm afraid that he really has ruptured the standing of footballers in this country with his outrageous behaviour.
Yeah.
To, look, a lot of players fall out with their managers and their coaches, okay?
Yes.
And it's always, he said this, I said that, they said this and all that. But to simply just push off to South America and eventually, through attrition, force through the move that he wanted to Atletico Madrid, has, in my view, put a time bomb under football.
Well,
because
I don't know, because...
it means player power now is absolute. He has gone to Atletico Madrid. To give him his due, he went in good grace when he was asked about about his Mr. Conte, his manager, and about the Chelsea fans. But nevertheless, he suddenly decided that after all the advantages Chelsea had given him, which were huge, he went there when he was 24 and became a kind of world superstar, right, on the Chelsea stage, to then decide he didn't like it anymore and he was going back to his home country, Brazil, and he wasn't coming back until he went to Spain.
Yeah.
Outrageous behaviour, and to my mind, a loser.
Well, Spain is his home country now, though.
Spain, of course, is home country, and to my mind, I'm afraid he has really...
well, does it make him a winner then?
No, it makes him a loser because what he's done is he's led a rebellion within the ranks of footballers, and he's affected the dignity of the professional footballer.
I think he's actually lost because Chelsea did what they wanted with him, and Chelsea managed to get him to go where they wanted for an awful lot of money. And in fact, the whole experience for them has been a good one.
I think his behaviour towards Chelsea, because Chelsea, of course, were the main victims of his behaviour, makes him a loser.
Okay. Well, my final loser is, of course, Gosport, because here's the quote from a woman who was being interviewed outside in a street in Gosport by some people doing a marketing study about some new apartments and leisure units that are going to be built and a redesigned bus station for the town. Gosport should be razed to the ground and started again, she said. She said, basically, there is nothing to come into Gosport for now. It's a peninsula, so it's a dead-end era. You have to make a specific journey to come here now. She said, I do not think you can change anything around here now to make it better. Every time you come down here, there's another shop that has shut.
No, that's not true.
Well, that's what she said.
Well, I live there, and I can tell you that's not true.
That's what she said.
It's the opposite way around. There's more investment in Gosport. So that woman, I'm afraid, has a flawed argument, which makes your nomination flawed.
Not true, because
I live there, and I know.
No, you don't live there. You live there part-time.
Well,
You're hardly ever there.
I live there,
Johnny
and I know.
has tweeted in just to back me up. He says, tell that Porky that Gosport was a right dump. It makes Croydon look like Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, but it's not, you see, because Gosport isn't simply just one high street. It's a great part of that peninsula and the coastline.
Horrible.
It's not. It's
ghastly.
It's very nice.
Anyway, that's my nomination.
Okay.
The public will judge it. It's now time for the winners.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
your first nomination for a winner?
Yeah, my first nomination for a winner is Lukaku. Because
that's not the same as the song you were singing in that bar in Hell's Kitchen.
No, well, all right. Well, it's probably not.
Which is available on Facebook, by the way.
Yes. Well, yeah, but what I'm telling you is that there's been this row over something and nothing, really. The Manchester United fans sing this song, right?
Yeah.
And it's in tribute to their new hero, Lukaku, scored 5 goals.
Well, hang on, it's been branded racist by the Kick It Out campaign.
Well, the point is, yes, you're absolutely right, but it wasn't intended that way. It was not intended that way. It turned out that way. Lukaku stepped forward and has told Manchester fans, please respect each other, because an anti-discrimination group complained about the terrorist chant. They said it was lewd, and so Lukaku stepped forward.
Lewd Kaku.
Lewd Kaku. Rude Kaku, because it was a very rude song, but a part of his anatomy.
I've never heard it, by the way.
I have, and it is a rather rude. And he has said, it could be offensive and discriminatory, racist undertones, and so he sent a letter, as a publicly open letter to the fans saying, could you cut it down? I think when players step forward like that without any hesitation, it's a very good thing. So Lukaku a winner.
OK, my first winner is Bristol City.
Yep.
They knocked Stoke City out of the third round of the Carabao Cup. They've now got Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace down at Ashton Gate, and they're doing brilliantly well. I have to say, ever since you slagged off Bristol and said that the two Bristol teams should merge, they never won anything. Bristol City have gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, well, good for them.
Yeah, now try and be much quicker now on the next two, because we're nearly out of time.
OK.
You've got 2 more winners to do.
Yeah, my second winner is the Premier League chairman for having voted through the deal to close the transfer window before the English football season starts. They've done, in effect, what we should have done politically with Europe and said, we voted to stand alone and we're going to do that. That's what we're doing.
Didn't they do that a while ago?
No. It's been ratified this week at the Premier League chairman's meeting.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the NFL, actually, instead of the Premier League, because the Baltimore Ravens take on the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley on Sunday. It's the first of 4 fixtures they're now doing every single year here in the UK. TalkSport's also bringing you live commentary, of course, every weekend. But their model is what I like, because they've got a model where they've got salary caps so that no player can be paid over the odds for one particular team.
Yes.
It's a much more fair league because the revenues are all split evenly.
Right.
And actually, it means that other smaller teams have a much better chance of doing well.
Right.
It's not as concentrated as the Premier League is.
Okay.
What's your final winner?
My final winner is billionaire businessman Sir James Dyson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Vacuum man.
The company of which he is head, this week issued dividends, that is payments, to investors of £111 million. He is the major shareholder in the company by a long way.
Right.
His wealth was already estimated at $7.8 billion in the Sunday Times rich list. He's just invented his new £300 supersonic hairdryer.
Oh, yeah.
He's, as you quite rightly just mentioned, he invented the revolutionary Hoover, although it's not called a Hoover, it's called a Dyson, because that's his name, Dyson. And he is a great British businessman leading the way around the world, so he deserves every penny of his $111 million in dividends.
Well, you're about to like somebody wealthy. My final winner is a French chef by the name of Sébastien Braz.
Oh, yeah?
He runs a restaurant in central France called La Guiole. La Souquette, which is in La Guiole.
Yeah.
And he's actually got 3 Michelin stars, one of 26 chefs in France to have 3 Michelin stars.
Wow.
Only 2 restaurants in this country have 3 Michelin stars. You know, but he's gone to Michelin and said, I don't want any more Michelin stars. He said, I want you to take me out of the Michelin star book.
Yes.
I want you to take me out of the whole kind of competition for how many stars I should get.
Yes.
I want to produce my food without the stress of worrying about these private secret inspectors
Really?
coming in, because I don't need them.
Oh.
He doesn't need the Michelin stress. He doesn't need the world rankings. And he said, get lost, which I think is brilliant.
Yes.
So he's my third winner.
Excellent. Well done.
Go to the 2mics.co.uk on, sorry, the 2 Mics on Twitter and vote now.
Yes.
Because the voting will be open for an hour.
And have you posted the voting form?
I'm just about to do it now.
Okay, thank you.
Because I like to do it by the time we've finished, just to make it fair.
Yep.
Loads more coming up. We are the 2 Mics.
Underground, overground, wombling free. The wombles of Wimbledon, common are we. Making good use of the things that we find. Things that the everyday folks leave behind. Bright eyes, burning like fire. Bright eyes, how can you close and fade?
So I'm trying to think of the connection here, right? So there's a song about a womble
Yeah.
and a song about a rabbit.
Yeah.
and Wimbledon Commons involved.
Yes.
Where are we going with this?
Well, believe it or not, right,
Yeah.
there's a very, very distinctive link between those two songs.
Really?
Now, one of them, of course, you
Yeah,
would
one
have
of them's
called...
great, one of them isn't.
Well, one of them you'd have called a sort of bubblegum, sort of joke song.
Yeah.
But which promoted a TV series, didn't it? The Wombles of
Wombles of Wimbledon, yeah.
And do you remember on Top of the Pops, they were all sort of prancing around in those Wimbledon, in those Wombles of Wimbledon outfits with a pointed nose.
Did it not start as a
and a
kind of
floppy hat.
as a anti-litter campaign or something?
Yeah, I think it did, yeah. But anyway, look, the point of the story is that the Wombles of Wimbledon and the song was written by a guy called Mike Batt,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
Right.
Now, he went on to become a terrific songwriter, promoter and producer.
Yeah.
He launched and nurtured the career of Katie Melua.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She was
Katie Melua, yeah, she's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very famous, right?
Yeah.
The
Katie
problem,
Melua.
and then he turned his attention to more sort of what you call classical pop songs.
Oh, yeah.
And wrote Bright Eyes for the song for which was the theme music to the very successful film.
Yes.
Was it Watership Down?
Watership Down.
Watership Down,
Yeah.
which was all about building a road through a conservation area where all these rabbits
Yeah.
live. Do you know what I mean?
That's right, yeah.
And and I followed the Wombling song. The problem is that I'm sad to have to report that in very recent times,
Yeah.
Mr. Batt has hit a few bumps in the road.
Bumps in the road.
And his projects appear to have been less lucrative. The songwriter has filed for personal bankruptcy
Oh, dear.
and resigned as director of Dramatico, his record label. It's the sort of thing I'd call our business, Dramatico.
Dramatico,
You know what I mean?
yes, indeed.
Now, he didn't want to talk about it this week when he was asked by financial journalists, what happened and, what, did you take too many risks with your money? And he said in answer, he said, I've been nearly bankrupt for two or three times over the years. No, he said that back in 2008, actually. I know he went bankrupt 2 or 3 times. I'm just looking at his track record here. He said, whenever I have a little bit of money, I spend it bringing about the next artistic goal. That's the things that I want to achieve in life.
All right.
He made £1 million from the Wombles songs in the 70s. He waived a £200 fee he was offered to write the song in exchange for the rights to the song and all the Wombles of Wimbledon songs.
Right.
And
How can you? I mean, I suppose that's not a song that gets played very often nowadays, does it?
No, but it did in those days because the Wombles of Wimbledon
Yeah.
became a phenomenon.
I know, of course they
and
did, but
people
what I'm
had
saying is-
Wombles dolls
Yes.
and Wombles games and all that kind
Did
of
you
stuff.
have anything
know.
belonging to the
No,
Wombles?
no, I didn't actually.
No,
No,
neither did I.
No.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, it's not one of those iconics. I mean, Bright Eyes, for example, is probably still making a bit of money now.
Yes.
Every single year.
Yes.
But because it's quite a beautiful song sung by Art Garfunkel.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know it by anybody else though.
You won't believe this, but the Wombles of Wimbledon, after the initial single on Top of the Pops, released 4 albums,
Yeah.
right, through the 70s.
Really?
And each album sold over 100,000 copies.
Wow.
And that's where Mr. Batt made his original fortune.
It'd be funny to find the original Wombles, wouldn't it? The guys in the suits. I mean, I
Well-
wonder how much money they made.
About £15 a show, I
Probably,
think,
yeah.
because, of course, their face was never seen. They were just guys in suits,
Yeah,
weren't
right,
they?
absolutely.
They could have been like Mickey Mouse at
Yeah.
Disneyland or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mickey Mouse probably worth £1 billion, but the guy playing Mickey Mouse probably worth about 10 quid.
Yes, no, absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now, there's a problem I've got with my new phone. I've downloaded
yes.
some new software, right,
Yes.
for the iPhone. It's a software 11.1 or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
And every time I have to find a way of switching it off because every time I start talking,
Yeah.
it starts searching for stuff because of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm getting at?
Sort of.
Do you know what Siri is?
I know what Sirius is,
No, Sirius
because
is.
we met them in New York.
No, but that's a radio station.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
No, Siri is the talking sort of voice.
Oh, okay.
That you talk to on the phone.
Yeah.
To give the phone instructions. For example,
Oh, I
you
see.
can, like voice activated
Is
instructions.
this like one of those cones you can now put in your house and you
Yes.
shout at it and it
Yeah,
does things?
exactly. You should get one.
Yeah, I should,
You
yeah.
know, you just shout at it.
That's right, yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it about low face. You just call it. You just abuse it. Maybe it'd be nicer to me.
Or put the fish fingers on.
Yeah, put the fish fingers on.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the reason I'm saying this, though, is because I had something to talk to you about regarding money, because you missed a trick a little bit earlier on this week, I think.
Did I?
Because Liliane Bettencourt, who was the world's richest woman,
She is.
died at the age of 94.
was. Oh,
now, what I'm
God,
amazed about is that you've never mentioned this woman before.
Well-
and that you've never actually somehow tried to grease your way into her affections.
No, she's
Because
all-
you know what her net worth is?
It was about 33 billion.
30 billion quid,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
$40
right,
billion,
yeah.
dollars, 33 billion euros, estimated in 2017.
That was Forbes magazine.
That's right. She She is, of course, the heiress to the cosmetics firm L'Oreal.
I know, yeah.
Is that not the David Ginola one?
It is.
Because I'm worth it.
Because I'm worth it.
He was in there this week,
He
wasn't
was, yeah, explaining about his terrible heart attack scare, which was shocking.
Right. It was.
And how well
I hope he's
he
given
looks
up smoking now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't here, so I don't know. But you're absolutely right. Liliane Bettencourt, the world's richest woman, inherited the L'Oreal Cosmetics empire, but spent her later years fighting a daughter in court.
Yeah.
Because what always happens with very wealthy families, or what often happens is, dynasties that have created fortunes and then have to pass them on. Everybody seems to fall out when it's time to hand the money over.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened in your family.
Well, it might do. She's
the Parry dynasty.
Yeah, quite right, yeah. She was described as a businesswoman, socialite and philanthropist, but the reason she fell out with her daughter was it was her father who founded L'Oreal in 1909.
I say it like a Welshman.
L'Oreal. So it's well over a century old, and she then had to sort of marshal the family, when she became a widow and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It says the dramas began in December 2007 when the month after the death of her father, Bettencourt's only child, her daughter Françoise, began a court case against...
Well, she must be worth all the money now.
Well, exactly. Against François-Marie Bannier, a celebrity photographer and artist who she accused of exploiting her mother's physical and psychological condition for personal gain in the shape of gifts. Her mother... gave an estimated value of nearly £1 billion worth of presents to this guy.
Oh, yeah.
When he was her boyfriend, and her daughter suddenly said, "Hang on." She's effectively given away the family silver, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To this guy and tried to stop it all. So
maybe you should now try and get a bit closer to the daughter, who's presumably the recipient of the $30 billion.
Yes, well,
Ms. Bettencourt Jr.
Well, let me say to you, Liliane Bettencourt died at the age of 94.
Yeah.
And I think her daughter is about 70 now.
So,
well, nothing wrong with that. But you're absolutely right. Listen, I want to tell you about a development, right? Which
have you seen the time, though?
Well, all right. I'll tell you about development in a second
minute,
or two.
yeah.
Because the other thing we can talk about during the course of the show, which you mentioned to me earlier, was talking about death, the very sad death of Sir Teddy Taylor.
Oh, yes.
The Eurosceptic Tory MP, who you mentioned to me when I raised it with you, was in fact...
He was the MP for Cathcart, which is where my father was from in Glasgow.
Cathcart!
On the south side of Glasgow.
Wow.
A couple of quick tweets for you. Jason says, Porky's accents are all over the show tonight. Dave says, arrived in Berlin for the Berlin Marathon.
Yeah.
Now listening to the two mics.
I know.
So I'll give you a little bit of a shout out there.
Good luck in the Berlin Marathon, pal.
And Matthias says, so Costa's a loser for getting what he wants. What was your definition of success again?
Yes, that's right.
Interesting one.
Well, no. He was a loser because I'm afraid he let down so many football fans in this country. You can't just walk out in your team, particularly when that team has elevated you from being average to being great.
Okay, and here's one from Johnny who says, Porky choosing Dyson after he took production and jobs abroad to save a few quid. Poor form.
Oh, yeah, but a terrific British businessman who has followed the tradition of the 18th, 19th and 20th century inventors in this country and developed stuff which has gone around the world. Great, just got to read this great tweet out for you.
Yeah.
Jay Ray says, don't pay too much attention to these two fools on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
The main man on TalkSport is without doubt Adrian Durham.
Is that right?
He is the most informative.
He is.
So,
he gives a lot of information out, does Adrian?
He gives a lot of information out, and we better pay a bit more respect to him next time we see him.
We should.
Yeah.
Here's one from Reese who says, 2 Chelsea players in Porky's 3 losers. Sour grapes, maybe? Mr. Parry? You got it in the bag, MG?
No.
Well, once again, Reese, I'm sorry to tell you that as much as common sense would suggest that I'd have it in the bag, once again, Mr. Parry is currently leading 53-47
I am,
on the Two Mikes Twitter account. So if you want to go and vote there, you've got 46 minutes left to make some sense of what I said and some nonsense of what Porky said.
Yeah. Guess who I met in Morrison's yesterday?
I don't know. Mr. Morrison?
No.
Who?
A woman came round the corner with her trolley.
Liliane Bettencourt?
Well, funny enough...
Have you seen the time?
Not that far away.
Really?
Very glamorous lady.
Joan Collins?
Of some years. No.
Who?
She said, "Oh, Porky, so nice to see you."
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "Yes." She said, "I'm Finn's grandmother."
Really?
Yes.
This is Talk Sport.
Never stop and they never die. They just keep on popping how they multiply. Crazy.
This is Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes. Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on in the show. It's on Sheffield because, of course, there is a massive, massive game of football going on in Sheffield. Yeah. Can't say too much about it because I don't want to give you any clues as to what the questions might be about.
Don't worry, I'm very well read on Sheffield.
How about this, though, from Nick? This is interesting, who texted into 81089. He says, the Wombles made money for the family of Jeremy Clarkson, who held the rights.
Really?
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either. Wasn't Jeremy Clarkson's mother famous for something else? Wasn't she a literary agent?
No, I think she invented Tipex or something, didn't she? Did she not invent Tipex?
Somebody's mother invented Tipex. I didn't know it was Jeremy Clarkson. It might have been Jeremy Clarkson,
I think it was.
Yeah.
And also, somebody's pointing out that did you know that Katie Mellower, who you mentioned earlier, is the person responsible for 9 million bicycles in Beijing?
Oh, really?
So there's an awful lot of synergy going on here.
Well, you know what happened in New York? We were going up 2nd Avenue or 3rd Avenue or something, and I said, oh, hello, driver, how are you? Yeah, fine. I said, where'd you come from?
The yellow cab.
The yellow cab.
Yeah.
And the window was open in the middle, which isn't very often, do you? They usually sort of close it.
Well, do you know, I found it quite easy to open and close the windows because quite often you'd get in the cab and if they didn't have air conditioning, it was quite hot when we were
very
there.
hot. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the window between us and the driver.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was fine.
The divider.
The divider, that's right, yeah. So I said, where are you from, driver? And he said, from China.
Yeah.
I said, that's great. I said, and, enjoy working. Oh, yeah, I love New York. I said, okay. I said, look, I know a song about China. And he said, what? And I said, you know that song, there are 9 million bicycles in Beijing.
Yes.
He said, oh, yes, I know that song, And I said, so would you like me to sing it for you? I'm a singer. He said, no, thank you. Which I thought was quite harsh.
Well, I think he probably had heard you singing maybe before.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Also, this was on Sunday, I believe, which was after you'd been watching the Everton game.
Yeah, and
so you were looking for a little bit of distraction.
Distressed, yeah.
No doubt.
Now, listen, I want to tell you about something which has come to my attention.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. But it's all to do with modern technology and young men and young women having phones and all that. A chap goes to...
Well, old men and old women have got them too.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah. But this is a story of a young man. So the thing is, he's going to have a bit of a thrash for his birthday, and he goes to... Just coincidentally, Wetherspoons pub, okay?
Yes.
And he says to his mate, if you want to come along, come along. But not all his mates can come along.
Right.
He then discovers that actually, in this pub, they have an app which you can sign up to.
Right.
And what the app does is it allows friends who can't get there to donate drinks on the app to his mate who's in the pub.
So
with
you
his
can
other
crowd
friends.
fund your night out, effectively.
You can crowdfund your night out, effectively. And what happens is your app registers how many drinks you can have at that place. And this guy is a student. What's his name? Nick Matthewman.
Yes.
And he got £80 worth of handouts shortly after a friend made a plea to well-wishers on Twitter.
I've seen some of the stuff he got. He got 8 glasses of milk, pint of John Smith's, bottle of Prosecco, 2 non-alcoholic bottles of beer. I suppose these people have to nominate what you get then, or can you ask for specific things?
Well, I suppose you could always, if somebody tweets and says what you want, you can always tweet back saying I'll have 2 pints of bitter, but they send in gifts, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, unannounced and that kind of stuff. So go on, what else did he get?
Unsolicited. He also got a pot of barbecue sauce, 2 fruit shoots, a pot of crispy onions, a pot of blue cheese sauce, jug of curry sauce, plate of peas, a Jaeger bomb, and a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, that's right, total £80. I mean, I think if it was me, I think, a bottle of Prosecco's not bad, is it?
You wouldn't
Pint
mind.
of John Smith, 2 non-alcoholic bottles of Beck's. But I mean, I think
Presumably you would ask for some fish and chips and about 10 pints, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would, yeah. That would be great. Maybe a couple of glasses of wine or something like that. But I mean, isn't that a great way now to do it?
Well, maybe you should do it. Maybe we should try and experiment and see whether we can send you off to one of your hostelries in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Well, that's a good idea.
How do we get this app?
So it says here... it says his mate, who's a history student.
Hey, it's at Wetherspoons.
Rory McWarthy. Yeah, that's what I said.
It's at Wetherspoons.
That's what I said.
I didn't realise you said it was at Wetherspoons.
I said coincidentally it was at a Wetherspoons.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it says this. So his mate Rory. Puts out a picture of him, right?
Yeah.
And he says, this is Nick, and it's 20th birthday. We're at the Banker's Draft Spoons in Sheffield, table 67. Please be generous and send him a bevy on his birthday.
Right.
That was retweeted 8,000 times. The pub chain's app allows drinkers to order and pay without leaving their seats. So some people in the pub even helped, while others can order remotely if they know the table number. So you have to give out the table number.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
So it gets delivered by the people inside the Wetherspoons, effectively. So it's their stuff that you're getting.
It's their stuff you're
It's
getting.
not coming in from outside.
But you know it's there, because on your app it tells you how much is behind the bar waiting
I'm
for you.
amazed that you haven't come up with some kind of commercial opportunity here with them, because you do spend a lot of time there. Why don't you give it a go? Maybe at the end of this week or something you could do it.
Well, maybe. It says Wetherspoons said that even after he and his 6 mates had left, drinks kept pouring in, on the app for 4 hours afterwards.
Blimey.
I mean, that sounds fantastic. Supposing I said to people, look, say next Wednesday or next Thursday, I'm going to Wetherspoons for some fish and chips, okay? But I'd like you to actually donate the drink for me while I have my fish and chips.
Yes.
What do you think would happen?
Well, it's very possible that you would be inundated with stuff because you're quite a popular guy.
That's true.
I mean, the other problem is if you reveal your whereabouts,
yes,
it could get a bit sort of iffy, couldn't it?
You think a bit iffy?
Well, you might get a lot of people turning up wanting to have lunch with you.
Well,
and
maybe.
you'd have to send them all away.
Well, yeah.
Now, talking of New York,
do
you remember Enzo? He was the first guy we met at the City Winery when we walked in there on Saturday afternoon.
That's right.
This time last week, of course, we were sitting in that lovely studio, Argot Studios,
we were
doing a show live from there, near the Flatiron Building. When we went down to the City Winery after our second show, we met this guy Enzo, who's from Nashville, and had flown all the way up from Nashville to see us.
That's right.
And he says today on Facebook, he said, glad to hear you two are back in the air. Thanks for coming to do a show in New York City. Saturday was an awesome day. And MG says, I hope you like the photos of you and your 2 cool kids. Hope to see you at another show soon. And he said, can I have a shout out? Enzo, a.k.a. the Iron Man.
Well,
remember the Iron Man?
I certainly do, Thank you very much indeed, mate. Does it fly? That's what I asked you the first question I asked you. Jackie here similarly says, home today, long trip home, but worth every minute of it. Just wanted to say thanks for everything relating to our New York concert.
And quite a few people are reminding us that it was Mike Nesmith's mother who invented Tipex.
That's
and
right.
He was in the Monkees, of course.
That's right, I knew.
And finally, Turner says, any chance of a happy birthday in between Porky's mad ramblings? I'm 35 today.
Who's this?
His name is Turner.
Turner?
Yeah.
Well, Turner as in the painter?
Yes, I don't think he's any relation to Turner.
No, I wouldn't think so. But Turner, 35th birthday. Well done, mate. Good.
And one final one. Danny says, can this loyal listener get a massive congratulations from my girlfriend, who today moved to London, starting at UCL on Monday.
Oh, and who's that from?
Her name is Abby. His name is Danny.
Abby and Danny, best of luck for the future and best of luck at UCL. It's a bit late in the year, isn't it? It's October, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's September.
Students don't go anywhere till the end of September.
That's
They're the same as politicians.
That's right. There's a guy here called Dan, very kindly, says, Porky, just want to say you're an absolute legend. Great stuff, mate. You make my day. Well, I'm glad I brightened somebody's life up.
Very nice. There we are.
Absolutely.
Now, Mark Donaldson is in Scotland. He's going to be covering the Rangers-Celtic game. Some people call it an old firm derby. Other people say it can't be an old firm derby. Rangers don't exist. We're not going to get into the politics of it. We're going to find out from him and what the lie of the land is. This is TalkSport.
Now then, TalkSport has joined forces with the Sun Dream Team, powered by Homebase, to bring you expert tips for the UK's biggest fantasy football game.
Listen to the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Tony Cascarino from 7 tomorrow morning for in-depth Dream Team analysis and to find out which players might be the bargain buys. It's all thanks to Homebase.
That's right. Now, then, visit in-store or online for low prices on big tool brands. For instance, the Azito 18-volt drill driver is just £40.95p. The Azito 2200, that's 2200-watt, 230mm angle grinder is £64.95. And the Azito 1500-watt SDS rotary hammer drill is just £82.95. Now release your inner gaffer and select your squad now at dreamteamfc.com.
That's right. It's free to enter and you could win a share of the massive £750,000 prize pot. And sign up to the Homebase League for a chance to win Premier League tickets every month. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes, and there's some amazing games of football going on over the course of this weekend. We've already talked about the must-wins.
Lots of derbies.
Everton against Bournemouth, Liverpool against Leicester, of course. We've got the big West Ham-Tottenham game
down at
the London Stadium, but we've also got, north of the border, we've got, of course, the Rangers-Celtic game as well. Let's talk to Mark Donaldson, our very good friend, who's over here at the moment. I think he's in Edinburgh. Mark, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, boys. Yeah, just south of Edinburgh in Pennycook.
Pennycook.
How are you both?
Yeah,
my goodness
well
me!
indeed.
What a great! I love Pennycook. I used to go down there to go to the local IKEA shop. I seem to remember.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. I've turned back home and obviously got the accent back, and I've lost the Yankee twang. So I'm back in the motherland and on the home. And I've come back here after you guys had a wonderful time in New York, I believe.
Well, absolutely, we did, and we'll tell the audience all about that in a minute. But what a day for you to come back, Mark, because Brendan Rodgers suddenly opens up on the idea that Celtic would be a major force in the Premier League in England if they were allowed to be admitted to the league, but then sort of counters the old argument by saying, but of course it will never happen. What's his thinking behind this one? Does he think he can make it happen?
I'm trying to think if this is the 1033rd or the 1034th time we've discussed this about Celtic, Rangers in the Premier League. Look, I want to go to Buckingham Palace, but I'm not invited. And it's already wanting to be somewhere, but no one wants them. That's the thing. Celtic are they're far too big for the Premier League right now, or the Premiership in Scotland, and they should beat Rangers in the Old Firm derby. I'm looking forward to going to that one. But I mean, look, Brendan's not daft. It's a question that always gets asked, and it's a question that doesn't get answered if it's not asked. A journalist asks the question, he knows he's going to get an answer for it. There's a back page headline. The bottom line is, right now, with the squad that they've got, it's not an even table. I mean, the Celtic and Rangers and Hearts and Aberdeen, the TV money up here is absolutely minuscule compared to what you get down there.
Yep.
Once it's a level playing field, that is when you can answer that question. Until then, it's all hypothetical.
Yeah. Exactly right. The thing about these derbies, though, and I know that there are those up there who say, oh, it's not a derby, there is no Old Firm, you know, Sevco is not Rangers and all of that. We're not going to get into any of that. We're going to pretend that it's a derby. We're going to pretend that it's the Old Firm. But there was always, even when Celtic were in the ascendancy for many years, even when Rangers were close to them but not good enough, you know, you kind of can imagine it being an unpredictable scoreline, can't you? Or is that all gone now?
I think it's gone the way that there's too big a gap right now. If Rangers got a point, they'd take that, and every Rangers fan would bite your hand off for that right now. Pedro Caixinha and the Rangers players would take that right now as well, because there is a gap. There's a reason that Celtic started the week at 5-6, and they may end up going off 1-2 favourites to win this game. Rangers got a point at Celtic Park last season, towards the end of the season, but on paper, Celtic have got a much stronger squad. I mean, you had all that talk, and the three of us discussed Moussa Dembele, where he could end up. He's not even going to start, I would imagine, because A, he's not fit, and B, Lee Griffiths is in form right now. And if he was fit, he'd probably start ahead of Lee Griffiths. That's two strikers that would get in any team in Scotland. So if Celtic play well, Celtic win. That's the bottom line. But don't try and take away anything from this one, because you ask any English football fan who's been to an Old Firm game, and they'll say they thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a spectacle, it is an experience, and I can't wait to watch it.
Oh, sure, I totally agree. When, though, is the balance going to be restored between the two clubs? Because I know the money's minuscule compared to England, but providing presumably Celtic and Rangers both get the similar share of the pot, and therefore have resources to buy players and pay them sort of wage they play in Scotland. But are Rangers still encumbered by a massive debt, or is it the years of not earning money in the Premier League, or what?
Let's keep it simple here. 30 to 35 million for being in the Champions League group stage. You get that every season or every second season, there's going to be a huge gap. Rangers didn't progress through the Europa League group stages. They got beaten by a team from Luxembourg. The whole Aberdeen loss, St Johnstone loss, Mikey Park didn't even qualify. So I'm not going to sit here and throw stones. The problem is, right now, is that Celtic are too good for Scotland, and because they're doing well in the Champions League and qualifying through the qualifying rounds, they're getting 30 million. The gap is getting bigger. So right now, I mean, look, it's not a case of if Celtic get this 10 in a row, which is the kind of magic landmark. It's a case of when they get 10 in a row. And it's no surprise that the contract that Brendan Rodgers signed will take him to, if he gets it, 10 in a row.
Yeah.
And undefeated in 56 domestic matches is still a pretty good record, even though everyone says, but they haven't got anyone to play, really.
Yeah, but all teams fail against smaller teams occasionally.
I mean, you have a bad day at the office, surely. But I mean, how long does this go on for? And you know, lots of other teams, as you support, like Hearts, have often said they wouldn't mind if Celtic left Scotland and went to play somewhere else, because it might make it fairer for everybody else.
Well, look, I know at the start of the season that my team are not going to win the league. Best we can do for it is maybe win a cup and maybe finish second. But you look at Real Madrid last weekend, or during the week, I think it was. They lost at home. So just because you're meant to beat a team and you should beat a team doesn't necessarily mean you will beat a team. And by the way, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world if Rangers beat Celtic tomorrow. I don't think it will happen, but everything's possible. I mean, if Celtic get complacent, which I don't think they will, Rangers scored first the previous time. I remember when Kenny Miller scored as well, and Celtic went on to win. It's one of these where they say form book goes out the window in the derby. I agree with that to an extent, but I think the better players that Celtic have, if they play well, they win. It's as simple as that. If they don't play well, Rangers have got a chance.
I mean, we went to that game with Rod Stewart. I'm sorry to drop that in, but he happened to be with us, and he did happen to take us in his private jet. So it's kind of hard not to mention it, really. But it was at Hampden. It was a semi-final of the Cup. And I have to say, the gulf between Celtic and Rangers was pretty huge.
It was,
I mean, as soon as Celtic kind of turned up a gear, basically, the Rangers were nowhere.
Yeah, and again, go back to what I said earlier about the spectacle for football fans who've not been to an Old Firm game or a Rangers Celtic, if you want to get pedantic about it or whatever. That game at Hampden, the 50-50 split. So it was a rather unique game. You don't always get that. There'll be the majority of Rangers fans will be at Ibrox tomorrow. There'll be the majority of Celtic fans at Celtic Park later in the season. So, I mean, it depends where you watch it as well. It's just a wonderful game. We've got too many people in this world right now that want to talk down things and say the old whataboutery, negative this, negative that. Let's enjoy the fact that we've got a spectacle. We've got two teams. Okay, they've got history or whatever, but just from a football perspective, can we not just enjoy the fact that we've got a game that people enjoy watching?
Well,
I totally agree.
That would be nice.
Is it too much to ask?
Now, let's talk about that, because I mean, I'm thrilled that you're over in our part of the world covering this game, but also I don't know if you're going to be able to hang around for the Champions League, which gets underway again on Tuesday, because of course, Celtic will be involved in that. Liverpool have got a tough game over in Spartak Moscow, and Real Madrid are fascinating at the moment, as you just said. They lost the game at home. How are you seeing the second matchups of the games going?
Well, as far as Celtic's group is concerned, they're playing for third spot. So this is like their cup final. They've got home and away against Anderlecht. They go to Brussels first. And if they can get a point there, win at home, then you would imagine they'll probably finish third in the group. Liverpool, I read comments from Jurgen Klopp saying, well, I'm not that concerned about the defence right now because I believe in our attack, that we can score one more than we concede. Different in Europe, though. Away in Moscow, they're a good side. And again, just because you don't get Russian football every week on TV, they're a good side. A point for Liverpool wouldn't be the worst result. And Real Madrid, again, they're going to go through, but this isn't the case of a knockout stage Champions League / European Cup, which I would like to see again, but money obviously suggests otherwise. You've got 6 games to get through, so even if you drop a couple of points, you know you're going to get through in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You know you're going to through in the end, but it's, as you quite rightly say, Mark, the amount of money you accumulate just by playing these early rounds. It's not just the teams in Scotland, like Celtic, which are moving ahead of the rest. It's going to happen in England. If you play consistently at the Champions League down here, you've got the difference in money resources between Liverpool and Everton. Liverpool have, been in the Champions League a lot, and Everton haven't.
But you also have the difference between playing in Scotland and the TV money and the prize money that's available is minuscule. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm outside right now, and I don't know what the final place. If you finish bottom of the Premier League, I think you still get something like, is it 90 million?
I think about 103 million.
So,
I think about 103 million,
there you
even
go.
if you finish bottom.
So that's about 3 times what you get for competing in the Champions League group stage. Yeah. So I think to compare that is like comparing apples and oranges. Yeah, and Liverpool will earn a little bit more, but Everton have still got a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, they have. But you still, if you get halfway through the Champions League, you've got 50 million more than your opponents. For that. So it's astonishing, the whole financial structure.
Is.
Yeah.
Mark, are you going to be in London at all, or are you just staying up there?
No, just a brief one up here. I'm actually doing a double header tomorrow. I'm doing Rangers Celtic, and then I'm doing commentary of Partick Thistle against Hearts, and then move the kickoff back to 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Are you doing that for ESPN?
It's what it's all about.
Are you doing it for ESPN?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. See, that tells you how...
ESPNFC.com, yeah.
Sorry, are they short of rights to football matches or something?
No. I mean, what I'm saying is it shows you how they love Scottish football in America.
Yeah, that's right. Of course they do.
US of A. Mark, listen.
It's a story.
It is, and thank you very much, Mark. My apologies as ever for the rudeness of my colleague here.
Not at all.
Now, another quick shout-out here from Tarquin.
Yeah,
he says, Mike, any chance of a shout-out for my daughter Leanne, who's marrying Martin tomorrow?
I know, isn't that terrific? What a big day that's going to be. Hope they're going to be very happy for the rest of their lives, okay?
Okay, well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
And how about this? Vote now, of course, winners and losers. Only 15 minutes left. Right now, Mr. Parry is leading by 52 to 48.
Yes.
So there's a slight comeback on the way. See whether we can make it complete. This is TalkSport.
But vote Porky, vote often.
Already I'm so lonesome I could die. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again.
Where are you going?
Sorry?
Where are you going?
Well, I'm not going anywhere. It's where we've been rather than where we're going.
I see.
And
I thought you may be planning another trip.
No, I'm not planning another trip. No, but I have to say that our venture over to America, which was fantastic, and the concert was great.
Yes.
The show was great.
Everything went terribly well, didn't it?
We did 2 great radio shows from there. And thank you to Argot Studios, wasn't it?
It was Paul, yes.
Our technician there. Thank you very much. But also, I've got to say a big thank you to British Airways because they got us there and back. And
tremendous journeys both ways.
Fantastic. On the way out, it was Alan who was looking after us,
It was.
the sort of cabin boss there. And coming back, it was
Jackie,
young Jackie, and her crew, and you know all the guys and gals who make up that those cabin crew staff who look after you. Fantastic people. Thank you very much indeed. I have to say that I didn't realise until we started talking to some of them that Mr. Willie Walsh, who is the boss of IAG, which is the company that owns British Airways. Is a fan of
massive TalkSport fan.
Massive TalkSport fan of ours, which is great. So, Mr. Walsh, thank you very much indeed.
And what was also nice was a lot of the stewards and the other people on the flight crew had either brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles or sons and daughters in some cases who actually listened to us.
And we're very happy to spend a bit of time doing a bit of stuff for families and sons of some of the crew and take some pictures and all that. And are we allowed to say that the captain on the flight over?
No.
We came down to greet us and say hello.
No, you can say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was fantastic to be able to talk to him. Very young man.
He was very young.
You think of airline captains as being guys.
It's a bit like when you see a young doctor. You
that's
get
right.
Concerned,
that's right. Yeah, but he flew us 3,000 miles across the Atlantic, and then when we got down in Kennedy, one of the people said, "If you want to hang on, chaps, the captain would like to come and say hello."
Yeah.
So
that was great.
Very decent.
No, we were treated very well, and brilliantly, and it couldn't have been better, really.
Couldn't have been better.
And of course, there were quite a few little videos that we filmed, some of which have already been put out on the live stream.
That's right.
And I've got a note here from Ruddy, who says, "Love the live stream, guys. Really was a great show for less than the price of a couple of pints. Do keep it up." Well, there will be at some point over the next few days a switch over from the Two Mics experience to the website, because we're going to put the actual show from the City Winery available for download on the website, thetwomics.co.uk. We'll bring you details of that. Other people, of course, have said that particularly the return journey and the video of us getting off the plane at Heathrow on, I guess it would have been Monday night. It was rather foul-mouthed. Now,
some people on your behalf.
Well, on both our behalves,
no,
actually.
I didn't, honestly.
Well, you can play it back if you like.
I maintain my dignity.
No, you didn't, actually. The point is, it's supposed to be humorous. Some people get very po-faced about these things.
Yeah, they do.
And some people say, you could apologise for using bad language. No, is the straight answer for that. If you've ever been to one of our live shows, you will know that occasionally the odd sort of salty word creeps out.
Well, you were only talking to me, and I can take it. That's not a problem. I also have to say that because of my patriotism, which I've told you about before, it was a fabulous experience to go straight to the British Airways terminal from New York City on Monday morning, very early. And to find...
In a Chevy Suburban.
And that approach to Kennedy, it just all spreads into separate roads, going to separate terminals. It's fantastic. And to see, British Airways this way, and then a huge building there.
Where my dad got stopped by the cops on that road.
Exactly, yeah.
The Kennedy Expressway.
Well, I'm not surprised. He was walking there.
Well, he was walking in the central reservation.
Yeah,
There's no pavement.
No, exactly, yeah. And then to find that at 6 a.m, a waiter there was preparing and delivering mimosas to us on that side of the pond.
I went a bit mad at the duty-free shop as well.
Yeah, you did, yeah. But it was rather...
It was wonderful.
Rather a fabulous experience. So thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, no problem at all. Now, a couple of things to mention to you.
Yes.
I want to get onto the subject of Mr. Costa because, of course, he's all over the back pages. We're going to talk to Simon Johnson a little bit later on. But Diego Costa, who you put in your winners and losers as a loser, is actually being very, very nice. He's saying, I'm sorry it ended like this. You've also got old, what's his name, the Chelsea manager, Antonio Conte, saying, I forgive Diego.
Yes.
So I think you kind of painting it as a terrible, terrible scene and him sort of getting his own way in some way, ruining English football is wrong. And I can tell you this as well. I'm coming up on the rails. It's now 49 to 51. Only 6 minutes left in the betting. So go to the two mics at the two mics and vote for me. That would be great.
Yeah, but the Costa thing, the reason I voted him a loser is for that very reason. He's been very nice now. He's been nice about Mr. Conte, his manager. He's been nice about the Chelsea fans, who he roundly let down by just suddenly pushing off and disappearing. And he's been very nice about his whole experience in England, when in fact he did spread a lot of bitterness, I think, inside and outside of the dressing room. Yeah, he did, and that's why I called him a loser, because you can't just come here and do that and then push off, and then when you say, well, I've got what I wanted now by being horrible.
But they got what they wanted as well.
I've got what I wanted now by being horrible and ask everybody to forgive you. That's why I think he's a loser.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're wrong about that. A couple of things to tell you as well. Do you know that we were talking about Jeremy Clarkson's mother?
Yes.
And somebody has said they're not sure if it says his mother or one of his other kind of antecedents invented the Kilner jar. Now, do you know what a Kilner jar is? Because I didn't.
No, I don't.
So I looked it up. It's one of those jars that you can buy in a, you can buy them in supermarkets now. Glass jar, which has got like a rubber ring around it and a thing that you can slip down. You know, like it's like a vacuum sealed jar.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Which
you can sometimes get beer bottles, the same sort of clip on the top.
That's right. Like Holston used to do that. Yeah, so it's a little bit like, it's a jar basically like that for putting jams and preserves and chutneys and things in.
Really?
So supposedly a member of Jeremy Clarkson's family invented that.
Somebody else said Jeremy Clarkson's mother made the first Paddington. She didn't invent it, obviously, because that was invented by a vicar, wasn't it, or something, who wrote the first Paddington Bear novel, you know, the bear that arrived from Peru with a label on. But that was
written by Michael somebody, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
She didn't create the character.
No, she didn't create the character. She apparently made the first doll. There's something else I've got to tell you. You know that from my agricultural journals, I find out ahead of everybody else where the food shortages are going to happen around the world.
Agricultural journals?
Yeah.
Well, like the grocer?
No.
Which I applied for a job with.
No. And guess what the next one's going to be?
The next shortage, do tell.
40% crop reduction in apples this year in Herefordshire, where they make cider.
In Hartford,
Who
Hereford.
are you? I got a brand new combine harvester. You got a brand new key.
What was that thing from My Fair Lady? In Hartford, Hereford and somewhere else, hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Oh, I haven't got that one. I thought that was the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
No, but that was also, this was the thing about pronouncing H's properly.
Yeah, really? Don't know about that,
Because if you try and say it with a Cockney accent, you can't say it.
Man. I don't think there's going to be a cider
shortage.
Hartford,
Hereford and Hampshire.
No, I'm not.
Hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Oh, well, I see. That's good. I don't think there's going to be a cider shortage.
You've got no taste, have you, at all?
But
no class.
A massive reduction in
culture.
in the apple crop.
What a load of rubbish.
Because of weather conditions have not been good for apples, okay?
Well, is that bothering you?
Weather's been inclement. Of course it does.
Why?
Apples are good.
How many apples a day do you eat?
Well, I don't eat a lot now.
Right.
Because
There's too much sugar in them.
We're
nearly out of time, by the way.
But
I haven't got time for your explanation.
They might do your teeth in. So.
Yeah, they might do.
But apples are
that's enough.
Largely good.
Thank you. This is Talk Sport. This rubbish for?
I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
It's Billie Piper, apparently.
Oh, Billie Piper. It's her birthday today.
Is it?
Yeah.
God, it's bad.
She's about 42.
Is she? Well, you don't have to give her age away.
Like that. Well, I suppose you don't. She's a lady, isn't she? She might be younger, actually. Could be younger than that.
42 is calling it a bit old, I think, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, she's been, mind you, she was a teenage pop sensation, wasn't she?
When you say pop sensation, if that was what it was like.
Yeah, she's probably about 35.
I think she might be a bit older than that.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's one from Paul. He says, first ever tweet, it's only right, it's to the two mics. Big love from Chester. And here's a picture for you, Porky.
Oh, yeah?
It's the Doncaster, what is it? The Dorchester of the
The
North.
Dorchester of the North, yeah. That's Foregate
That's
Street.
a great picture, by the way.
It is, yeah. The
I mean,
front
look
of
at the
Chester
colour
Grove,
in that.
Looks very glamorous,
Look at
doesn't it?
Look at the way the sky
Great
is so
sky.
azure blue.
Yeah, I'll be up there again soon.
I
don't
think
worry.
that maybe you have a filter on. There's nobody there, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's like deserted, like a ghost town.
no, it's not like Ghost
There's
Town.
no one there.
No, well, that'll be about 9 o'clock in the evening on a midweek.
Yeah, but there's nobody on the... It's Friday night.
What?
It's Friday night. There's nobody on the street.
Yeah, but no, that wasn't taken tonight.
How do you know that?
Because I can tell.
Well, I'm going to ask Paul when he took it.
Okay.
So do send us another tweet here. He says it's his first tweet. It's come out 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
Right? And he's only just got onto Twitter.
Right.
He's only following four people,
well, good
right?
for him.
He lives in Chester.
It is a very sedate street, though, and it's not near the bar area. You know, that's actually down Foregate Street towards the railway station, City Road, or it's towards the
I
other
don't
end
care.
of Foregate Street where the cross is.
I don't really care where it is. All I'm saying is it's very, very quiet.
And Bridge Street. Well, it's a nice, quiet town, Chester, I can tell you that.
Like a ghost
now,
town.
Lee says, on the basis of that new app you've told me about, Two Mics, I will go to Wetherspoons next Saturday and buy Porky a mixed grill and 3 pints.
He's going to buy you a mixed
No,
grill.
he's asking me to buy him one, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought that was what it was.
That's not good.
No, I can tell you that the vote is in for winners and losers.
Yes.
602 votes. The final results are as follows. 51%
Yes.
to 49%
Yes.
is the winning margin.
Yes.
And it's once again in your favour.
Thank you very much indeed.
So
Thank
that
you,
makes
folks.
that makes it 4-1.
Thank you, people. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah,
I
it's not an
appreciate
Oscar.
your support.
It's not an Oscar.
No, I really do.
Don't get carried away.
Yes, yeah, I see this picture now from Paul. He calls himself the Chester Dropout.
Yeah.
First ever tweet, only right, it's the Two Mics. Big love from Chester. It is a lovely picture. Yeah.
It's a beautiful
And
picture.
it's
But I think it's a current,
beautiful city.
real-time picture.
Yeah, I'm
As
sure
I say,
it
he's
probably
following
is.
4 people. 3 of those 4 people are me, you, and the Two Mics.
Oh, well, there you go.
The other person he's following is Catherine Huntley.
That's right. Now then...
I mean, that's right.
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Do you know who Catherine Huntley is?
No, but I mean,
Well,
it's
why
not
did
our
you just-
business. It's not our business to know.
Well, he's following Catherine Huntley.
Yes, I know, but I've just looked at his tweet as well, so I knew all that. So you went.
So who's Catherine Huntley then?
I don't know.
Well, I'm about to tell you.
Oh, right. Okay.
She's a TV presenter on QVC.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which is your favourite television show, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's middle of the night.
It's where you used to do all your shopping.
No, it was when I was in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
I made a bit of a mistake with that.
You
Now,
certainly
another
did.
one here from a chap called Els. It says, MG, can you ask Porky if he has learned Spanish yet for the word tomorrow?
Have you?
Mañana.
Mañana. The reason for that is
I
you
always
made...
knew
well, no, you didn't, because you made clips of the week on Friday afternoon.
Oh, did I?
On Hawksby and Jacobs. Again, yes, twice, in fact.
Oh,
One of the
yes.
clips was for you saying that mañana was Italian for tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
When everybody knows actually Spanish.
Well, I know that.
You know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
And the other one was for some bizarre rambling thing, which I
Yes.
think was from one of our shows in New York as well,
Mm-hmm.
where you're referring to the writer of that show that you said Horatio Hornblower was in.
Yes.
It's on Porky Vision, right?
Yes.
Do you know Ewan Grufford, right, is the guy we're talking about?
Yeah.
But you referred to him as Horatio. You're looking at me like I'm making all this up. You don't remember any of this, do you?
Of course I do. Horatio Hornblower is
Yeah.
the same guy who's in a new program called Liar.
Yes.
Which has been 2 episodes so far.
Which you were describing, right?
Yes.
But in the clip of the week that you made, you then talked about the person who wrote Horatio Hornblower.
Yes.
Whose name was something like H.H. Borneo.
Yes,
Which
something
in
like
fact
that.
it was C.S. Forrester.
Oh, C.S. Forrester. yeah.
Andy Jacobs
Yeah.
said, I think I might adopt that as a pen name. Because he said, I could
H.H.
write some
Borneo.
books under H.H. Borneo
Borneo.
because it's such a good idea.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good as well.
Anyway, clips of the week, as ever, you can find on the TalkSport podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Right, now then, I want to tell you about a situation that's happening because we haven't really had much thought for those poor people in the Dominican Republic who've been hit by the latest hurricane in the Caribbean.
Puerto Rico was hit hardest, wasn't it, first of all?
Yeah.
Is this Hurricane Maria you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, haven't we got a mate in the Dominican Republic?
Dominican? No, I don't think so.
That's not Mickey.
No, he doesn't live there. He lives in Costa Rica.
Oh, Costa Rica, okay,
Which is not actually technically in the Caribbean.
No, right.
It's in Central America.
Central America,
Don't
right.
ever go and visit him.
No.
Because you'll get off at the wrong spot. In fact, I might see him. He's going to to be over in about a week's time.
Oh, is he?
Down in Pevensey Bay.
So he's allowed to come into this country.
Oh, yeah.
He's not allowed to go back into the United States.
Well, I don't think he's disallowed from going to the US.
No.
I think it's just maybe a tax liability
See,
scenario.
yeah.
So,
but anyway, the British tourists over there are all getting really upset. Hurricane Maria.
Yeah.
They've slammed. I'm not going to name.
Why are you laughing?
Well, because
this is a tragedy.
No, I know it's a terrible tragedy, but fortunately they haven't been injured or killed. It's just that their hotels
a lot
got
of
blown
people have
down.
lost their belongings.
And it says many people in the popular resort of Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic are furious at being moved from their 5-star beach hotels to what they say are prostitute-ridden dumps.
Yeah,
right?
that would be the Dominican Republic.
That's right, yeah. It says... Kerry Boyd, 28, of Bolton, she said, we've had disgusting treatment from the travel operator. Our replacement hotel is well known for its massive use of prostitutes.
Is it?
Yeah, the representative from the tour company hasn't visited us once, and he isn't even answering his phone.
Well, I mean, you can imagine how difficult it must be to be in those situations, in those circumstances where power is completely wiped out. They've had 3 hurricanes one after another.
That's right.
Many of whom have gone through almost exactly the same path.
That's right.
I mean, where was the island? Was it the British Virgin Islands where they had to send out the RAF? But for about a week, they didn't have anything. And nobody could get to them because we haven't got enough helicopters and enough planes.
Well, we haven't got enough ships either to get them everything there.
But also, was it also not the case that there were about 30 quite dangerous criminals who had escaped? Because, of course, the hurricane had caused all the doors to blow off the jail.
Well, it blew the jail down, basically, and they just ran off. But I find prisoners in sort of exotic climates not usually dangerous prisoners. You know? They're not usually dangerous.
What do you mean they're not usually dangerous?
I went to the Seychelles once, right? No, seriously.
How can you say they're not dangerous?
Well, I went to the Seychelles.
These are all locked up in high security.
Well, yes and no, sort of thing. But I went to the Seychelles once, and there's a bloke there who's got his own island.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to work for the Yorkshire Post. He's
I
from
think you
Yorkshire.
mentioned this guy before,
yeah. And he lives on this island on his own, but he built his own house there. And it's fantastic, idyll, if you see what I mean. You know, a really exotic, island.
Yeah.
Like the one that you used to see in the Bounty advert.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Bounty.
Yeah, you remember the Bounty advert? They came from,
In Search of Paradise.
In Search of Paradise,
Yeah.
that's the one. Well done. But the only problem was that his next island was what's wrong?
Why are we talking about this?
Well, because his next island was a penal colony. But
But it wasn't like the one in Papillon,
no, it wasn't.
Devil's
No,
Island, where
no, it
they had
wasn't.
like 3,000-foot cliffs that they had to jump off and make sure they landed in between the 6th and
amazing
7th
thing
wave.
About the
with barrels.
The amazing thing about the atoll, which is the Seychelles, is you can walk
atoll.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can walk between 2 islands, a mile apart, in 3 feet of water.
Yes,
it's amazing.
It is.
The tide never comes in.
But this is not also the place where they said, and when
the archipelago.
What?
The archipelago.
The archipelago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The archipelago is something else. Anyway, was it not the case that when they had the tsunami years ago, the bad one from Thailand?
Yes, that's right.
That actually some of those islands ceased to be above sea level. They were covered by the tsunami.
Yeah, they were
because they're so low.
They were,
and in fact, I think also the Green Brigade in the Seychelles have said that their whole country will be underwater if something isn't done about the rising sea levels.
But the truth is that when the tsunami then withdrew and the sea levels righted, more islands appeared, from beneath the surface of the water. But anyway,
what's your point?
Well, the point is that the penal colony, which was you could walk a mile through 3 feet of water, occasionally a couple
it's quite hard to do, isn't it?
No, not really. It's only waist-high water, but I mean...
Yeah, but that's a mile in waist-high water. It'd take you a long time.
It's probably a few hundred yards. It seemed like a mile because you're walking around in water. But anyway, occasionally the felons on the penal colony, which didn't have any bars or anything, were just...
Well, you'd hope not, really.
Just bored, and they just sort of wandered onto his island and, stole a few of his mangoes and that kind of stuff, Well,
what about the guards? On the penal colony.
Well, they...
I mean, it doesn't sound much like a penal colony. I think you may be over-egging the pudding.
It was. And it's where they were sent to be punished for whatever crimes they'd committed, like stealing coconuts and all that kind of stuff,
Well, I mean, if they're only stealing coconuts, it's not exactly a capital crime.
Well, that's why I said they weren't dangerous felons. I've told you that already.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there aren't
you
any such thing.
That.
It doesn't mean there isn't any such thing. Aldo says this, hey, guys, can you help a Yank learn who was the first South American in the English top flight? Before your time, I'm sure. The question is...
There's a guy who played for Birmingham, Tarantino, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think so, yeah, from Argentina.
Where is it?
I think so,
Well, how long ago are you talking about?
Talking about the early 70s.
Really?
He came before Ozzy Ardiles.
He wasn't a Brazilian international.
I think he was.
I'll tell you what, I was going to tell you about this Brazilian boat that I saw today.
Oh, yes.
I put a picture out on Twitter, and I'm hoping that somebody can explain to me
Well,
what
a
it's
Brazilian
doing.
Navy boat?
Well, it looked like a Navy boat, but it was all grey. It looks a bit like HMS Belfast, except it didn't have any guns on it.
Oh, okay.
But I took a picture of it. I'll put another one out as well,
Yeah.
so somebody can tell
You
me what it's
can't
doing.
tell
here.
if a modern ship's got guns on it or not.
Well, it didn't have any turrets anyway.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
You know
but
what I
they
mean?
don't have turrets anymore. They just have
No.
tubes.
Yeah, that didn't have any tubes either.
You know, tubes that go into the deck.
Yeah, I didn't think you meant the kind of tube
No.
that Alan Brazil describes. Tube. This is Talk Sport.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened. Finally happened.
There's plenty of live football coming up this weekend, so make sure you don't miss a thing by staying tuned to TalkSport and to TalkSport 2.
Absolutely. On Saturday from 3 p.m, you can hear live and exclusive Premier League commentary of Manchester City versus Crystal Palace on TalkSport 2.
That's right, and straight after that you can hear Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest on TalkSport.
And on Sunday from 1 p.m, make sure you tune in for the first Steel City derby in 5 years, Sheffield Wednesday versus Sheffield United.
Download the TalkSport app and you won't miss a minute of the action on TalkSport or TalkSport 2. Now, one of the things we like to do on a Friday night is have a quick gander at what's going on in the papers on Saturday morning. And Simon Johnson, of course, is football writer for The Standard. We've got a whole bunch of the back pages right here. And as we mentioned earlier, Diego Costa seems to be figuring quite large on them. Simon, very good evening to you.
Good morning, chaps. How are we?
It's
Yeah,
all
very
right.
well indeed,
Very,
thank you.
Very well indeed. Now, Porky's been going on about how Diego Costa has kind of destroyed football in this country, that he's risking,
so disrespectful.
risking the ire of all clubs and making sure that every player has now got more power than they've ever had. I'm not sure he's right about that, but he's playing nice now, Costa, now that he's gone, isn't he?
Well, I think after his playing days are over, he can have a gig on the comedy circuit because the back page of the Sun, Costa, sorry it ended like this. And if anyone is less sorry, it's him because he's got what he wanted after 2 months of being on strike in Brazil.
Yep.
And he said, it's not the way I wanted to leave.
I didn't want it to end like this. Well, I mean, why on earth then did he behave like, a petulant, spoilt, out of control barbarian?
Yeah, and don't forget as well, because a lot of people have been making the mistake that this has just been a recent thing, Diego Costa wanting to rejoin Atletico Madrid. He is basically wanting to rejoin Atletico Madrid almost since the day he arrived 3 years ago. Now, don't forget, we should hasten to add, he's a fantastic striker when he wants to be, and he did sort of play a big part in 2 title wins for Chelsea, but he's also been a huge pain in the you-know-what.
Exactly.
But fair play to Chelsea, they refused to be bullied into accepting a lower price from Atletico Madrid, who also you have to question their role in this saga because they've definitely been, let's say, I'm sure they've been encouraging Diego as well to agitate for a move. But Chelsea stuck to their guns and got what they wanted in terms of a huge transfer fee. They've managed to make a profit, a sizable one at that. But I think it's one of those where all parties are now quite happy with how things have played out. But yeah, Diego Costa has certainly not come out of this smelling of any roses. But then, when has he ever smelled?
No, exactly. And I think, actually, I'm quite glad to see the back
riddance.
of him. Because, well, you could have done with him at Everton, to be honest. I mean, you would have loved him at
Well,
Everton.
I'm
Then
not
you
su-
would
I'm
have
not
been singing his praises
I'm
from
not
the high
sure,
heavens.
because as Simon's just said, he's been a pain in the butt to everybody he's worked for all his career, and you get about half a dozen games out of him and he starts whinging. So we'll stop talking about him. What I want to talk about here, Simon, is Jose Mourinho is ready to go for broke and unleash Anthony Martial today. So that means they'll have a forward line of Lukaku, Marcus Rashford and Martial. And this comes after Phil Neville, of course, today has rated Marcus Rashford alongside Mbappe and the other great young world stars.
Yes. Phil Neville, I respect the guy. He's played a lot of games, a lot more than I have, but yeah, I think he gets a bit carried away.
Have a care, mate, have a care. He was a former Everton captain, all right?
Yes.
Sorry, what do you find amusing about that?
I don't care.
I just think that Marcus Rashford, definitely a nice young talent, but
He's not yet the finished article, is he?
No, I don't think anyone's going to be coming along with where he's on loan initially, isn't he, at PSG, with a sort of 140, 150 million pound bid just yet. But in terms of the headline on the back page of the Star, goal for it, it is a bit worrying for the Premier League when Manchester United scored 16 goals in their first 5 league games, and Mourinho is talking about, well, actually, we could actually score a few more if Martial combined Rashford and Lukaku.
Yeah. Well, he's also on the back of the Express, Mourinho, isn't he? Saying that sort of the good times are back, basically, thriving on and off the pitch. It looks as though everything is rosy back at Old Trafford. Finally, they've got a proper successor to Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, he's basically referring to the amount of money that's rolling in. Of course, they had very, very good profits announced this week, plus the fact they're winning trophies under him and playing the style of football United fans like. And as he says, Man United fans around the world have more reason to smile than in the recent past. So, of course, Mourinho is hyping himself up as I'm obviously usurping David Moyes and Louis van Gaal, who replaced Sir Alex. I'm the one that's bringing United back to where they should be, but you can't really argue with him so far.
No, you can't. And by the way, Sam, that is a reflection of the absurdity with which Manchester United approached the replacement of Sir Alex Ferguson. Absurd to appoint David Moyes in the first place. Absurd then to say, let's go for the seasoned but rather knackered Louis van Gaal. I agree.
Sir Alex chose
I agree,
Moyes,
but what I'm saying to Simon is, I'm saying there was not a proper procedure on the replacement of the world's most successful manager, was there?
No, but in a way, you sort of think, I mean, it was always going to be the toughest job in football.
And Mourinho was the world's best manager, so they should have gone after him.
Yeah, but I think there was a certain amount of hesitation among some members of the board.
Sir Bobby Charlton, who said famously at the time in an interview with The Guardian, we don't want his sort here.
Yes, well, funny how a couple of years in the doldrums changes changes minds.
Exactly.
And look, Mourinho, yes, he brings a lot of controversy, but he also brings silverware. You only have to look at his CV to see that. And he's under a bit of pressure to win them the title this season, but he's got them off to a flying start. It's not all good news for Manchester United personnel, though, because on the back page of the Mirror, Shaw and Order is their back page headline, and it's about Luke Shaw and Mourinho, of course, ahead of their trip back to Southampton. Luke Shaw's former club, having joined United in a huge sort of £27 million deal in 2014. He's basically saying he's still got an awful lot of work to do to even get back in the team. Of course, he just got back from injury. But Mourinho, I remember him saying similar things last season, clearly not a fan of Luke Shaw, and it's just the sort of more negative headlines about a prospect that a few years ago, before that awful broken leg, is being touted as not only the Manchester United left back for years to come, but of course England's left back.
But he's been very unlucky, Luke Shaw, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, injuries have really hurt him, but there's constant talk certainly from sort of Manchester United and sort of Mourinho's sort of suggestions about his work rate, and he constantly talks about it in whenever he's asked about Luke Shaw, about how hard he's got to work, how much harder he's got to work to improve, which it is a worrying sign, because you sort of think for a young player he should be doing everything he can to get in that United team, but Mourinho certainly suggests that he's not doing enough.
Exactly.
I can't remember who bought him now. Was it
Luke Shaw? I think it was Moyes, wasn't it?
Wasn't it before Moyes? Wasn't it? Was it?
Well, I think
Sir
it was
Alex
something,
Ferguson's
but I
last
think it was
buy,
Moyes who kind of was the one that brought him into the team. Yeah. I think he came from Southampton, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And if you're fed up with Manchester United, you can always go to The Guardian, Simon, and get some news on one of the young stars of Manchester City.
Yeah, fantastic interview this. The headline reads, it says it all, Benjamin Mendy, Manchester City are the big shark. When teams swim with us, we gobble them up, which is one of the standout quotes from the article. But it's actually very fascinating. It starts off with, he reveals how after Monaco shortly won the title last season, that a group of the players, including himself, Mbappe, Bakayoko, Bernardo Silva and a few others, all sat round the table and talked about, so where are you off to next then? Right. And they were all playing a game. He sort of said, oh yeah, some of us were telling lies, we're going to be off to Chelsea, we're going to be off to Arsenal, whatever. But we all promised that wherever we went, we'd send each other a WhatsApp picture of us holding the shirt aloft, and it was Bernardo Silva who was the first to move, and as he puts it, then it was like dominoes falling.
Yeah.
And I have to say, in a way, it's a bit sad because that Monaco team, I'd have loved to have seen them stick together and take on the sort of traditional European heavyweights in the Champions League, but money talks. But yeah, he talks glowingly about. He actually said that he made up his mind to join Man City after they'd faced each other in the Champions League last season, and he was in the doping room with Kevin De Bruyne, as players have to do after post-match. Selected players have to go into doping, and he had a big chat about what Pep Guardiola was like, and he basically said there and then that he told Kevin De Bruyne, "Yep, I'll join Man City as soon as they make a bid." So his mind was made up back in February.
And the headline is, "This kid is special from Sao Paulo with love," the making of Jesus. Now, finally, one story which has been dominating the papers all week, but only really The Guardian have got it again tonight. Samson rumours were common knowledge in the game, claims coach. More trouble for the FA, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just realised, chaps, sorry, I was telling an article that was in the Telegraph rather than the Guardian.
No, that's fine.
Rather Benjamin Menny. Anyway, back to what you're asking me. Yes, more negative headlines that about this really sordid affair.
Sordid.
I choose my words probably wrongly there with Mark Sampson, and yes, a coach that was actually overlooked for the job said that his back in 2013 that actually the incident that effectively got Sampson the sack this week, his behaviour with whilst at Bristol City, that it was common knowledge in the game that he was sort of having wrong relationships with some of the ladies players back in Bristol City back then. And of course, when you think that Dan Ashworth is the current FA technical director, was part of the four-man panel.
You'd appointed him. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't look good, and of course, it just continues to be. It's not just bad for Mark Sampson, of course, now gone now, but it's just making the FA look more and more inept the more these stories come out.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Yeah, doing very well, making themselves look inept. Thank you very much indeed. Simon Johnson there, football writer from The Standard. We look at some of the big stories on the back pages. More of that, of course, coming up. We've got the Porky quiz next, though, on Sheffield. This is Talk Sport. Nice little bit of Sheffield music for you to get you going.
Is it? Yeah, right. Okay.
The Arctic Monkeys, that is.
The Arctic Monkeys. Yeah, here, put dinner in oven, Arctic Monkey.
I don't think there's going to be any language questions as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Do you like the Arctic Monkeys?
Arctic Monkeys,
grand They've made a lot of money, you know.
Grand bunch
They've
of
made
lads.
a lot of money, those guys.
Well, you know, Yorkshiremen are a bit tight with their money, you know that, don't you?
Massive stereotype, but I'm not standing for it. Now, this is, of course, the Porky quiz, and there will be 10 questions which have a correct answer, and everything else is wrong. So you won't be getting half points, quarter points, three-quarter points. The last quiz that we did on the NFL, you got a ridiculously large number correct.
Yes, that's right.
Many people think you cheated. Nobody knows how you did it.
No, lad.
Are you going to answer all these questions in a Sheffield accent?
Aye.
Great. Okay, fantastic.
Give it some flavour, you know.
Right, now, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
I don't care.
If you get one incorrect, you will hear this sound.
What an idiot.
Excellent. Now, are you ready for question number one?
Aye, lad.
Right, have a listen to this.
What's your land to find? You think you change your mind? You better change it back or we will both be sorry. Don't you want me, baby?
Great song, that.
Grand record.
Yeah. Don't You Want Me, Baby?
Yeah.
Now, the band are a Sheffield band.
Yes.
What's the name of the band?
The band, that one. Don't you want me, baby? Don't you? Is that Let me see. Now, that's 90s, isn't it?
I don't know what year it is.
90s. Don't You Want Me, Baby? You know, it's a good song, that.
It is
I
a
like
good
that
song,
one.
yeah.
Don't you
I thought it might have been in your sort of disco days.
Yeah. Could have been my disco days.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit after my disco
Okay.
days. Don't you want me, baby?
Can you hurry up,
I
please?
think it was from the Romantic period, wasn't it?
Yes, I think that's probably fair to say.
Romantic. So I reckon it was those guys with the sort of dodgy haircuts.
What's the name of the band?
The band.
What's
Of
the
the
name
band.
of the band? Why are you looking behind me?
I'm not looking behind you. I'm trying to find inspiration, thinking.
Hurry up. We've got to do 10 questions.
Could it be
Give me an answer.
hang on. Depeche Mode.
Incorrect.
What an idiot.
It was the Human League.
The Human League.
Yeah,
that's right,
but well remembered.
Are
At
they
least
from
you remembered.
Sheffield?
Of course they are.
Okay.
That was the question. Question number 2. Which 1996 movie starring Sean Bean as an aspiring footballer was set in Sheffield? Now, this is a very culturally iconic
Now,
football
Sean
movie.
Bean was a director of Sheffield United. He is an original Blade, i.e., a footballer, a supporter of Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And the film, you see, these questions are supposed to be about Sheffield.
It's
They're not
about
supposed to be
Sheffield.
about movies.
It's a movie set in Sheffield about Sean Bean as an aspiring footballer for Sheffield United.
Right.
It's a Sheffield question.
Yeah, well, it's a bit obscure.
All right, well, have a stab at it because you're running out of time already.
Okay. It was called.
Go on.
It was called Yorkshire Boy.
No, incorrect.
What an idiot.
It's called When Saturday Comes.
When Saturday Comes.
Yeah.
Well, that was the name of a magazine.
What?
That's the name of a magazine.
Well, maybe that's why
been
they
around
called the
since
film
90s.
after that. It was also the name of a song by the Undertones.
Yeah.
Question number 3.
Right.
Maybe you'll get this one. It's about Sheffield football.
Right.
How many times have Sheffield Wednesday won the FA Cup?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes.
FA Cup.
Yes. Have you done any research? For
Yes. Sheffield Wednesday, believe it or not, won 4 top league titles and 3 FA Cups.
That is correct.
Thank you.
I don't care.
Woo.
They won in 1896, 1907 and 1935.
That's right.
Well done.
They lost
Who
to
is-
Everton in 1966.
I'm not interested in Everton. Who's the current manager of Sheffield United?
Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's your problem?
I just love that face you make when
Yeah.
you're trying to work out whether you know this. And you know you should.
I know.
Because it's the Steel City Derby on Sunday, live on Talk Sport.
I know it. The manager of Sheffield United is
I'm looking for 2 names.
a former professional footballer
Is he?
who's not very well known.
Really?
And is rather low key.
Uh-huh.
And his surname is Wilder, and his first name is Charles.
Incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect.
It's Chris Wilder.
Well, that's what I said.
You said Charles.
C-H.
You said Charles.
C-H
Have
Wilder.
you read the answers?
No, C-H. Wilder.
I'll give you half a point for Wilder.
C.H. Wilder.
I'll
Yeah,
give
well,
you-
I mean, Mr. Wilder would have got me a.
No,
you know, would have got me a
Mr. Wilder,
point.
no. They wouldn't have worked. Who's the current Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper?
The current Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper.
I'll give you a clue. He's international.
International.
Yeah. I shouldn't. I don't know why I'm giving you a clue.
No, it's not Chris Woods.
Is that your answer?
No, I said it's not Chris Woods. I'm thinking aloud here. Chris Woods was a very famous goalkeeper for
Oh, yeah?
Sheffield Wednesday. And in fact, I think he was their last international player, Chris Woods. Yeah, so it's not him.
Are you sure he's the goalkeeper?
Chris Woods was their goalkeeper.
Was he?
Yeah, was in those days.
Well,
yeah.
who's the
I think
goalkeeper
that was
now?
93 when he was last
93?
played for England, yeah. So
Well,
the
93
current...
is approximately 24 years ago.
That's right, yeah. So he's not still playing for them, obviously.
I mean, you know,
No.
no goalkeepers can have long
No,
careers, but
okay.
that's a bit long.
The current Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper and an international as well.
Yes.
I would
as well.
say.
You don't know, do you?
It's the return of Shea Given.
Incorrect.
No.
What an idiot.
It's Kieran Westwood.
Kieran
But
Westwood.
he is, bizarrely, the Republic of Ireland international goalkeeper.
Right, okay, yeah.
So you got that right.
Yes.
Question number 6.
Yes.
When did the 2 Sheffield sides last meet?
When did the last meet?
Last Steel City Derby.
Last Steel City Derby.
Yeah, you should know this because it's been on TalkSport Trails for about the last 3 days.
Yes, I know this one. They last met in 2006.
Incorrect.
No.
What an idiot.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah.
It was 2012.
2012.
We also read it out on the show earlier when we were telling everyone that it was on TalkSport.
Yeah, but that was not in the championship that they're playing in tomorrow. That was a lower division.
Doesn't matter. When did they last meet?
Yes. That
All
was a
right,
trick
question number 7.
Because I thought you were talking about in the Premier League.
So far, you got 1.5 out of 6, which is far more close to what I thought you'd get. Question number 7.
Yes.
When did Nick Clegg first get elected as the MP for Sheffield Hallam?
Nick Clegg.
Yeah.
Sheffield Hallam has got a hospital called the Hallam.
Has it? That'd be why it's called Sheffield Hallam.
That's
then.
right, yeah. It's also the name of their second university.
Really?
Sheffield Hallam University.
Really? Is that in Sheffield Hallam as well?
It's in Sheffield Hallam.
Amazing.
And let me see. When was he first elected?
Yes.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It was...
That'd be good.
It was in...
I'm looking for a year.
Yes, I know. Right, OK. Excuse me. I had a choke in my voice then. Yeah. It was, in fact...
Defibrillator for Mr. Parry.
Yes, that's right. It was, in fact, in...
Hurry up.
Yeah, OK.
Seen the time.
It was in 2008.
Incorrect.
No!
What an idiot. It was 2005.
2005. That seems an awful long time ago.
Question number 8.
Yes.
You'll know this if you know Sheffield. How much does it cost for a day rider ticket on the tram in Sheffield?
Ridiculous.
Was it ridiculous?
Ridiculous question.
Why is that ridiculous?
I think I know the day rate of
I don't know.
trams in every city in Britain.
Well, you go by trams a lot when you go to places. You're
I don't go
telling
to
me that-
Sheffield. I've never been to
You've
Sheffield.
never been to Sheffield?
No, don't think I've ever been
Well,
to
why
Sheffield.
are you doing a Sheffield accent?
Well, that one, get it right.
You're supposed to be the king of the north.
I would say...
I mean, you've been everywhere else in the
I
north
would say
of
the
England.
price of that is £4.20.
Incorrect.
No!
What an idiot. It's £3.
£3. Sounds a bit
It's
cheap.
grim up north.
Yeah.
Question number 9. Which member of the Monty Python team was born in Sheffield?
Monty Python team, born in Sheffield.
Or
Eric
Troop.
Idle.
Incorrect.
No!
What an idiot. It was Michael Palin.
Michael Palin.
Dear God, this is even worse than I thought. 1.5 out of 9. Okay.
Well, stupid question.
Question number 10. You'll know this one because it's all about Sheffield football. Who is Sheffield United's top goal scorer of all time?
Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Top goal scorer of all time.
Correct.
That would be. Tony. So what's your problem?
Tony, what? Are you thinking of Tony Curry?
Tony Curry. I'm thinking aloud at the moment. I'm thinking aloud.
All right.
I'm thinking aloud. It could be Tony Curry. Let me
I'm
see.
going to write that down.
No, it could be. Or it could be. It could be a guy called.
Could be another guy called Tony.
No, could be another
Tony
guy called.
Soprano.
No. It could be a guy called Billy.
Billy. As in Billy McNeil.
No, not Billy McNeil. Oh, hang on.
Billy Bonds.
No, I know what his surname is
Billy
now.
Bremner.
No. His surname is...
Go on.
A guy... his surname is Dean.
Billy Dean.
No, not Billy Dean. No, not Billy Dean.
Billy Jean.
No. Hang on. So you're talking about Sheffield United?
Yes.
All-time top goal scorer.
Yeah.
That would be... let me think.
Jimmy Dean?
It was not Jimmy Dean.
Brian Dean.
Brian Dean. Brian Dean.
What an idiot.
I'm going for Brian Dean.
Incorrect.
No,
What an
it
idiot.
can't be. No.
It's not Brian Dean. It's Harry Johnson with 252 goals.
Yeah, when?
It was around about the 1930s, I think he played.
Ridiculous nonsense.
Well, he's the all-time top scorer.
Rubbish.
I mean, when you look at some of the statistics, right? So you've got a grand total back to normal,
Yeah.
1.5 out of 10.
That's what you say.
Absolute shocking performance.
So I got at least 3.
You got one. You're lucky. You got 1.5 because actually I could have disqualified you altogether.
I mean, why didn't you ask me
Charles
on what
Wilder.
river is Sheffield built?
On what river is it built?
The Don.
The Don.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Why didn't you ask me where the word Sheffield comes from?
Where does it come from?
Chef failed. That is country field.
Failed is what you did.
Country field.
You just
know.
failed miserably.
Why didn't you ask me? Who?
Why didn't I ask you who the manager of Sheffield Wednesday is?
Carlos Carvajal.
Carlos Carvajal.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Why didn't you ask me that?
Well, it's not. I don't write the questions.
Yeah. Rubbish.
You didn't even know who the Human League were.
Why didn't you ask me who?
You didn't even know when they last played together.
Who was the all-time record international cap holder for Sheffield Wednesday?
Who is that?
Nigel Worthington.
Is it?
Yeah, who's
Okay.
just been appointed to that Belgian club today.
Which Belgian
50
club?
caps for Northern Ireland.
Which Belgian club?
Nigel Worthington's been appointed to a second division Belgian club today.
You sure it's not Nigel Pearson?
Pearson, that's the guy I'm talking about.
Not Nigel Worthington.
What did I say? No, Nigel Worthington. Yeah, that's right, yeah. No, you're right, Nigel Pearson.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
So is he the one that's got the most caps then?
No, Nigel Worthington is the
Well-
one who's got the most caps.
Well, which Nigel are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about Nigel Worthington. See, it's also
You know-
confusing
do you know
with
that-
stupid questions.
You know that Nigel as a name is now being sort of phased out of the English language.
Well, nobody last year, apparently, was
Yeah.
called Nigel.
But there's
Not-
two Nigels for you right
Yeah,
now. We're
that's
just talking
right.
about.
Pearson and Worthington.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
What an idiot. Then you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it
Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 11, of course, for the Talk Sport warm-up. Becky says this: normal service resumed in the Porky quiz. The boy done bad when he don't see the questions and answers.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it?
Top scorer,
Thank
Tony.
you. Yeah, absolutely. There's one here from Neil. He says, didn't know the Human League were Porky. And then another one here from JPK saying... the Human League had the Christmas 1981 #1 hit.
Really?
With Don't You Want Me Baby. What an inauspicious start. Typical.
Yes, not good.
Yeah.
Phil says, dear oh dear Porky, pissful display on that Sheffield quiz. Hashtag what an idiot.
Yeah.
And here's one from Neil, who says he was 2 seconds away from saying Gene Wilder was the manager of Sheffield United.
Yeah, well, I did I? I said it was Chris Wilder, and then you said it
Well,
was Charles.
you said it...
C.H.
Well,
Wilder.
You said it was Charles.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Anyway, Jim says, I assume Porky means Alberto Tarantini.
Yes.
Not Tarantino.
No, that's the
but
film
close
director.
enough for government work, though. Good call.
Yeah, Tarantino's the guy, of course, that did Pulp Fiction, isn't he?
He was, yeah.
The director. How about this one from Ben? Any chance of a mention, guys? I'm working until 3 p.m. today. I'm a plasterer, a deadbeat to Parry, but I love you too. So he says
Very
that you
kind.
would refer to him as a deadbeat.
Yeah.
But is he working from now till 3 p.m.? That's a long day.
I refer to who as a deadbeat.
Ben says you would refer to him as a deadbeat
Why?
because he's a plasterer.
Oh, plasterer, not at all.
That's a very
working
skilled
man.
job, that.
Very skilled job. Working man, you know. I would say you're the backbone of Britain.
Would you?
And one here
You
from
wouldn't mean
somebody
it, would
who
you?
says, walking through York in Blado Blado Modo.
Yes.
Bladderation in moderation.
Yeah, I was busier than Chester.
And came across the Dorchester of the North. And there's a picture of a Browns of Chester shop, which I didn't know existed in York.
Oh, really?
So thank you for sending me the picture.
Oh, interesting. So that's on the top of the picture we've already seen from Chester.
Yes.
Which we were surprised to see, were we
Yes,
not?
yes.
By the way, you see Chester appointed a new manager, Marcus Bignot.
Yeah, Big Knot.
Yeah, do you know him?
No, it's a very unusual name, though.
It's a
isn't
cool
it?
name. It's a good footballing name, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's a former footballer and a manager, right? Currently the manager of Chester. He's played for a lot of different teams. He played for Millwall, Oldham,
Yep.
Kidderminster Harriers,
Yep.
Solihull Moors, Rushden and Diamonds, QPR.
Yes.
This is a team he seems to play the most for.
Yes.
Over the course of time.
Right.
Over, looks like 160, 170 games for him.
Oh, okay.
You know,
And-
back in the early part of this century.
And do we have any idea what his coaching history is?
His coaching history is that he was at Grimsby Town before Chester
Grimsby.
until 2017. Before that, he was at Solihull Moors and then Birmingham City Ladies. He started off. It's becoming interesting, actually. I mean, notwithstanding the whole argument about Mark Sampson and all that.
Yes.
It seems that the ladies' teams are being managed more and more by sort of young, up-and-coming English managers.
Well, I suppose they've had more experience actually playing the game, haven't they? Because,
Well, I wonder if
the
that's-
women's game is emerging, and
Yes.
you know what I mean?
But I wonder if that's also a good avenue for people, the young coach. We're always hearing that,
Yeah, I suppose
young
so.
coaches don't get any opportunities.
Yeah.
But now the women's game is becoming more popular.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a good place for them to all go.
Could well be.
Do you know what I mean?
Now, JPK 12, seems to be a bit vociferous tonight.
Uh-huh.
1.5 in Sheffield quiz, i.e. 1.5.
Yes.
Naught in the Newcastle quiz.
Yeah.
We haven't had a Newcastle
We
quiz.
did
have
one a while ago, I think, yeah.
Did we?
Long
I
time ago.
Definitely didn't get naught.
Yeah.
I would know a lot more about Newcastle
I think
than
you
I do
did.
about Sheffield.
I think you did get naught.
Has Porky ever been to the north of England in a sober condition where he's noticed anything going on?
Do you know that's Pav, don't you?
Oh, it's Pav, is it?
JPK.
Okay, Pav. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and another one here. Bruce, who doesn't seem to appreciate that we're serious broadcasters, and says this Sheffield quiz is coming across. It's bloody hilarious. Wasn't hilarious to me, mate, when all the questions were bent again.
By the way, you know how we've talked about the NFL over the course of
Yes.
the last several weeks?
Yes.
And there is a big game going on this weekend. Do you know it's going to be like 90,000 people at Wembley Sunday afternoon?
Is that really?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
But I was wondering, because you know what they're going to do? Because Wembley is now being used more frequently
Yes.
by Spurs
Yes.
as their hometown club, basically they're going to bring in a different pitch. Because you know how the last time they played, I think they played an NFL game before an England game.
Yes, they did.
And they cut up the pitch something rotten, didn't they?
yeah.
And they didn't get it right.
But I don't think you can bring in another pitch
No, you
just
can.
like that. I mean,
No, you can.
Spurs have designed the stadium so that they can switch the pitches by mechanical means, if you see what I
Well,
mean.
no, I mean, they used to do it at the Millennium Stadium. You could actually take the whole pitch out.
Yeah, but you can.
When they did rock concerts, they used to just take the grass out.
Yeah, but it was designed in sections to be taken
Yeah,
out, wasn't
pallets.
it? I don't think the
Well, I'm
Wembley
sure,
pitch is.
I'm sure I heard somebody telling me that that's
Yeah.
what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because what they don't want is to have the cleats, as they call them, from the football boots, the American
That's
football
right.
boots,
Yeah.
wrecking the pitch. And then Spurs having to play a game on it.
Can't they lay a pitch on top of it?
No. You can't
sure?
do no.
I think you can.
No, you can. What? You just put a load of turf down?
No, I think
and
you
then
lay
pick it
something
up
on.
again.
I think you lay something on top of
That's
it. To be honest,
madness.
Yeah, that's what I think. Listen, I'll tell you something. This is interesting.
Yeah.
West Ham have a Scandinavian branch. West Ham fans Sweden. Swedish Hammers team up for the game tomorrow at Wistrom's pub in Stockholm.
Really?
So that's pretty good, isn't it?
Well, it is if you know how to speak in Swedish, I suppose.
Yeah,
well,
that's
why wouldn't they have a Swedish section?
An old wrong star here. He's put a bubble caption in my mouth because he sent a picture of me, and it says, "If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough."
Is that right?
That's very nice, isn't it? Eh?
That is very nice.
Gives my reputation a bit of a dent, that one.
Does it? Okay. Now, we've got quite a lot going on in the next few days.
We certainly have, yeah.
Because we're not only doing tomorrow's show, but we're also doing Sunday night as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And we've got Sophie Nicolau coming in because the Arsenal game is coming up on Monday night.
Yes.
Arsenal playing West Brom. I've actually tipped West Brom to win that game.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like as if you've never heard that?
I have heard it, but I think it's the most mad prediction of the weekend.
Do you?
But good luck to you if you get it.
All right.
Now then, I come across a report, from a learned philosopher.
Yes.
The risk of a wrong decision is preferable to the terror of indecision, said Maimonides.
Who's that?
He was some sort of Greek philosopher.
Was he?
Maimonides? Maimonides, yeah.
Right.
Today we are racked with choice and decision-making has never been more fraught. It is hell. If we look at a restaurant menu, there is so much choice now that anything longer than a page is alarming. There is so much margin for error.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, I just need another look. What's the special again? Glance at the neighbouring table. That looks nice. Is that the lamb? Turn to your partner. What are you having, okay?
Yeah.
We have become a nation of indecisives, okay?
Really?
But at least you've settled on a restaurant. Organising a dinner out generates endless back and forth between companions jostling politely for position, lobbying for a venue in a more convenient postcode, suggesting somewhere a little less expensive or touch more on trend. I've heard this place is good. That's quite fair. What they're saying is, this report, okay, is that
That's an ancient Greek philosopher now about going out for dinner in a restaurant.
Well, no, they've cited the original philosophical definition of choice.
I see.
The risk of a wrong decision is preferable to the terror of indecision.
I see.
But the modern world doesn't believe that.
No.
The modern world believes in indecision.
Right.
Indecision.
My indecision is final.
Yeah, my indecision and inertia is, that is what happens in a lot of organisations.
Well, because nobody wants to make a
Yeah,
decision.
nobody wants to make decisions.
Paralysed with fear.
Paralysed with fear, make the wrong decision.
Well, people
all
say
that
that's
kind of
what's
stuff.
wrong with England football.
Yeah.
The players are actually paralysed with fear.
That's right. But it says the problem is now exacerbated because of the technology we have these days.
Okay.
We are constantly in touch with everyone all the time via our phones and all looped into the decision-making process, whether on email, text messages or WhatsApp. As a result, decisions can be delayed for not just hours, but days. Let's see how we feel. And then the hour before, what about this? And everybody is still trying on change of plan, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, I've had this problem for years. I've told you this story before. One night driving home, I thought, I'll have pizza. And I got to the pizza shop and decided, I don't know why I'm coming here. I want Chinese.
Yeah.
And I drove to the Chinese takeaway. When I got there, I thought, I don't really want this. I want an Indian takeaway.
Yeah.
So I drove to the Indian takeaway.
Yes.
And I thought, I'll have Indian. But I didn't want Indian because I fancied fish and chips by that stage.
Well, why can't you just decide what you wanted?
Well, I couldn't.
Why not?
It was indecision. It was indecision.
Yeah, but you're not particularly indecisive.
Well, I was on this night.
Why?
I had a confused mental state.
Yeah.
And decided that I didn't know what I wanted to eat.
Confused mental. What did you end up with in the end? You went home without anything.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I was a bit like that when we got off the plane.
Yeah.
Because I suddenly realised I was starving.
Yes.
And I knew that getting home, I'd pretty much used up all the food before I left.
Yes.
And I didn't really want to cook anything. I couldn't be bothered.
Yes.
And I sort of ruminated for not very long, maybe about 5 minutes in the car.
Yes.
Before realising I wanted some Chinese food.
Yep.
Ordered the Chinese food. Yeah. And it got to my house before I did.
Right.
Which was a bit worrying because I'd done it in such a way. I'd ordered it on Just Eat or something like that.
Yes.
And it said it was going to be 45 minutes. And I thought, that's good because I'll be home in half an hour.
Yeah.
But we got to within like 2 minutes of the house.
Right, you got a call.
And the guy rang me.
And was he waiting on the doorstep?
And he was on my doorstep,
yeah.
Although it turned out to be quite good because he helped me up with all my stuff.
Yeah, oh, did he? This is straight back from America.
Yeah.
Really good.
Now, we're nearly out of time.
Okay, just one last thing on this. The American psychologist and philosopher William James believes there is no more miserable human being than one in whom nothing is habitual but indecision.
That's it.